Hey y'all, it's me, I-78. All right, y'all. Sorry I'm late. I tried to get down to the rally, but unfortunately, I have learned if you plan to go to the rally, don't go to work because trying to go to work and going to the rally means you go miss the rally. So I am back at home. It literally took me that long to get back here. So we are going to go ahead and get started with the coverage. They've only had speakers for about the last half hour or so. When I tell you these guys are prompt, they meant what they said. Be on the property in line by 3 o'clock, or you could forget it. They meant just that. It is crazy over there. But let's get into the coverage. Bear with me just 1 second. It is, yeah, it's bananas.
Hall. They had absolutely no idea that the president and first lady
Hi,
were
Eric.
about to walk
How are
into
you?
that
Thanks for
room.
stopping by.
And when they did, it was a sight and a sound and a scene that I hope I never forget. That room absolutely erupted. That was the kind of patriotism President Trump brought back to our country. One of the young soldiers yelled from the back of the room, "Mr. President, I re-enlisted in the military because of you." And without missing a beat, the president said, "And son, I am here because of you."
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Ladies and gentlemen, after you receive your concession items, please make your way to your seats. Please clear the concourse after you receive your concession items. Thank you.
Few speeches from the chairman, Michael Whatley. We had Mr. Bishop, Dan Bishop, running for North Carolina Attorney General, and definitely some North Carolina politicians to ramp up the crowd. A homecoming for RNC Chairman.
Oh my
Whatley.
goodness, that was amazing. My favorite ad is playing right now. I got to tell you, it's the one where Donald Trump is saluting all of the amazing veterans, where he's looking up at the sky, where he's walking into rooms looking tough and strong and giving us that peace through strength that we all miss so much and that we are literally clamoring for in our nation right now. I love these ads and I love the reaction.
He has been missing for
Wait, here he is.
Yeah, and a powerful moment from the ad that I've really seen all over national airwaves with Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders talking about when she was press secretary, President Trump going and visiting the troops overseas, and a sound that she said, "I hope I never, ever forget." Similar to this stadium, it is jam-packed. Even behind the press pool, the seats are filled. And really not a bad seat in the house, per se, in this beautiful Bojangles Coliseum in the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. Maga rally.
Yes.
Here we go,
amazing.
Wednesday evening in America.
It's not it's not typical that a crowd comes in on a Wednesday afternoon like they have today for anybody. I always say he's the draw. He's the one. He's the headliner. He doesn't need other people. He doesn't need an opening act. He doesn't need an ex-president. He is the president. He's the one that he brings the crowd for himself. And when you think about that, here comes my favorite song. And you know that every time you've seen the other side, they're always bringing in other people to speak on their behalf or to endorse them. President Trump has thousands of endorsements, but he's the draw. And that's what we want in our leader. We want that person to be the one that we look up to and we listen to and we respect. We don't want to have to only give our respect to somebody because of who else likes them. It's about that person, what they bring to the nation. And this is a president who brought us peace through strength. And his entire platform right now is based on unity and unifying all Americans.
We may never see anyone quite like President Trump, just given the energy, the rock star-esque environment. it's almost like going to a concert. As we can hear now, blasting the classic Elvis Presley song when Elvis was working for civil rights.
That's right. And it's funny. I was watching his, I don't know if you guys had a chance to see the Break 50. Break 50 was amazing, with one of the greatest golfers ever. And he was in his golf cart, President Trump, and he was talking about how he has the best playlist ever. And he was asking about what celebrities he's met and worked with and talked to. And he said the one person that he never got a chance to see or meet in person was Elvis Presley. But he wished that he had because he thinks he was one of the great, and he was. So I thought that was
I enjoyed that moment with Bryson DeChambeau and President Trump.
Bryson is just, oh my gosh.
They were raising money for the Wounded Warriors Project, and they seem to have a lot of fun together playing some golf.
Yeah.
But you see more of a reflective side of President Trump, clearly enjoying the music that plays here seems to be the music on his playlist.
It is. His playlist is the best. I say it every time. Even if you are not part of the MAGA movement, quote unquote, if you want your country to be great again, then actually you are. Because Make America Great Again is what MAGA stands for. And Bobby invites all of us here. We invite you to come to one of these free rallies because he does not charge anybody for any entrance. There's no fee. The only thing you pay for are the things you choose to buy. But if you want to come and see President Trump in person, I implore you to do so before the election. It's an electrifying moment. And I've heard from so many people, Bobby, when they've said to me, I wasn't sure what to expect. But after I went to a rally, I realized not only are the supporters just kind, welcoming people, but that President Trump has a message that's not being shared in its entirety on mainstream media.
Right, and that's why it's so important to tune into RSBN because we'll give you full unedited footage of every MAGA event, every MAGA rally, different conferences where the president will be speaking. Yeah. And now we're in full swing with the MAGA ticket, the Republican ticket. So a very exciting time for President Donald Trump, Senator J.D. Vance. The Republican ticket, we have yet to see what the Democrat ticket will be in less than a month here.
Can I just say, to be in the end of July and have that comment made is unprecedented. To not know who's on the ticket officially against President Trump, he doesn't even know who his opponent is. He knows who presumptually will be his opponent as the president, but we do not know who J.D. Vance is even going to be debating. I mean, when you think about all of these things that are in the unknown land right now, and for all we know, we might not even see Kamala in that position. We haven't heard any endorsement from Barack Obama, or I believe, who's the other person that hasn't endorsed her yet?
There's some leadership, like Hakeem Jeffries, I believe, has not.
I think Hakeem Jeffries just did. Okay. It'll come to me. I'll think about it.
It's been developing day by day, hour by hour, and a very exciting time to see who will be in that slot. Kamala Harris is wrapping up a lot of support, but we'll see what takes place there. We see Chairman Watley telling you that he thinks she's the presumptive nominee.
Yes.
He was talking about her lack of credentials and her background in government, having been a massive failure over these years. Going all the way back to San Francisco as a prosecutor, then the California Attorney General, someone who has put people in jail for minor drug offenses. That's something President Trump has worked on fervently ever since he got into office, criminal justice reform. So we are now about to go over to the studio for an exciting interview that the magnificent Matthew Alvarez has.
Wonderful.
So we'll send it back to you, Matthew, right now.
Thanks so much, Bobby and Nikki. It looks like an awesome event there in Charlotte, North Carolina. And joining me right now of North Carolina is Bo Hines. Obviously, Bo ran for Congress, doing some great things in that state. So, Bo, thanks for joining us. And also, could you share with us your thoughts about the current situation in our country just overall right now?
Yeah, I mean, I have to tell you, it's really quite unprecedented. I mean, to see the president of the United States disappear for days on end, leaving the American public guessing where he was or what his health was. I mean, it leaves real concerns. But, thankfully, we have President Trump here in North Carolina tonight, who we believe is going to lead a massive red wave in November. He's actually talking about the things that matter to the American people. He's talking about bringing down inflation, making sure that people can afford their everyday needs. He's talking about getting us out of foreign conflicts that do nothing to benefit the American people. It's absolutely imperative that we secure our border. And now we're looking at a possibly future President Kamala Harris, which no one wants. the former border czar, who's been an absolute disaster in this area. So I think that especially North Carolinians and the rest of America, we're just excited to see President Trump back in the fold, leading the charge into November, and hopefully going to secure this election victory for us Republicans in November.
And tonight, of course, President Trump about to take the stage there in Charlotte. What's it like for you when you have met the president? I believe you've spoken on stage too before. What's the overall kind of feeling at an event like this?
Oh, it's electric. I mean, people are excited. They love President Trump. Obviously, he's probably the best communicator of our time. I think he'll go down as one of the top 2 or 3 presidents just in terms of communication, let alone his policy initiatives. But, the people of Charlotte are excited to see him. The rest of North Carolina is excited to see him. We have our chapter of Students for Trump down here. It's nationwide. I know the Students for Trump folks are doing a live broadcast as well, just outside the arena. It really shows you there's young people that are also engaged in this movement, supporting President Trump, backing him. And, we're just excited to have him here.
And so, Bo, you're 28 years of age, doing great things for the country. Do you see a lot of people, though,
hey, big
throughout the country, other than North Carolina,
everybody
that are saying, you know what, I'm a young person
I
and
tried
I'm
to
supporting
get
Trump,
down
or
there and get
I never
in
was
line
involved
for the
in
rally.
politics,
When I
but now
tell
I am.
you, it was people
Oh, absolutely. I
everywhere.
think
They
that,
said people
just
showing
with social
up. They
media and
actually
all the
chartered
new medium
buses.
platforms, we see
Girl,
young
I
people
couldn't
engaging
even
now
get
with
in there. So
political
I had to come on
content
back
like
to
they
the
never
house.
have before. They have opinions.
It
They're
was
willing to
a
voice
straight
those,
bad
good
house.
or bad. But for us, I think it really creates an opportunity to capture young folks like we've never been able to do in the Republican Party. I think it's extremely important that we keep messaging to them. I think that President Trump's initiatives speak volumes to them. They just have to be articulated properly. And, we hope with Students for Trump, we can help do that.
What were your thoughts about the University of North Carolina students that got highlighted at the RNC, along with everyday Americans there for those 4 days? What was that like when you saw what they did? They held up Old Glory.
Oh, I think it was awesome. I mean, it just goes to show you, that is viral content that we need, especially for young people to see what it means to stand up for our country, stand up for our values, stand up for what it means to be an American. It doesn't matter what you look like or where you come from, but it does matter that you believe in our values and our system, and really truly what it means to be a resident of this country. And I think that those young students at UNC standing up for the flag, showing people that they're proud to be Americans. That's stuff that we like to see coming out of the next generation, and we hope to inspire more of that.
And today in North Carolina, and the other day in Michigan, Right Side Broadcasting Network, we were out there interviewing a lot of people, and we heard chants of fight, 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 and USA, and all those kind of chants, right? So what were your thoughts when President Trump stood up there, said fight, 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 and he continues to move on and continues with the country to do so?
I mean, it was truly one of the most incredible moments in American history. For him to capture that moment, it really just amplifies what he means to this next generation, what this new Republican Party means, this populist right party that's evolving, becoming more of the working class party for people that are struggling here in the United States. And for him to stand up and say, fight, 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 after nearly losing his life. I mean, I just think that was probably one of the most touching moments that I've ever seen in my lifetime. And even though I'm a young adult, speaking to my elders, I mean, they've said the same thing. I mean, it brought tears to many people's eyes. It was incredible.
Definitely was incredible. And before I let you go, Bo, we're looking at a live perspective of Charlotte, North Carolina. Our camera is just panning the crowd. It just seems like everywhere we go, we see the same thing. It's almost like a sporting event, but it's for our country.
No, it's great. I mean, I think you're going to continue to see these rallies grow really throughout the next few months. President Trump is, as an open movement, he's welcoming new people every day, as we saw at the RNC convention. It's great to see people from all aspects of life showing up, supporting the president. We'll be there at most of these rallies doing our events with Students for Trump. We hope that everyone across the nation joins us because they're welcome.
Bo Hines of North Carolina, sir, thank you so much. We hope to see you again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So there, Bo Hines, 28 years old, obviously ran for Congress, bright political future there, well-spoken, but somebody that's on point when it comes to the common sense that we're looking for our nation, right? So the younger generation, when it is time for that to happen, we've got a lot of great patriots out there. Of course, leading the way, the legend himself, Donald J. Trump, to speak tonight again at 6 o'clock. You'll see there awaiting President Trump. That arena packed just like it was in Grand Rapids just the other day in Michigan. For those of you that were out there, wasn't that an awesome time? Well, we're going to see more of that here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm excited to get it back out there to Bobby McNeely and Nikki Stanzione, who are live there on the Media Riser. You get the sounds and the feels of what it's like to be there. That's what we love here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, to bring you exactly what we see and hear out at those rallies. So we'll go back out there in just a moment. 16 electoral votes up for grabs in North Carolina. Of course, President Trump won that state in 2016 and in 2020. And then moving forward to 2024, the polls, he's got a lead in North Carolina there. And that is one of those 7 big swing states, right? I mean, out of that, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, and others. You know, the Trump administration, in the sense of the campaign, doing great out there with a lot of political ads. And we're seeing the boots on the ground. We're seeing all the people. Look at that. It looks like a packed arena for a concert or some sort of sporting event, but instead it's something for our country. So coming together today in Charlotte, North Carolina. A quick couple program notes before we throw it back there live. We've got an event on Friday night. President Trump will be in West Palm Beach. We'll have some live coverage there Friday night. And then just the next day, St. Cloud, Minnesota. Get ready, St. Cloud, Minnesota. It will be rally day in that great state. So we'll have coverage as well. So a lot of upcoming events happening. Obviously, we know there's a lot of other news going on, but this other news, in my opinion, pales in comparison to our country winning, moving forward as a unit in freedom, based in truth and the Constitution. So obviously, looking forward to hearing from President Trump here within the hour, it looks like. We'll hear from him. So producers, when we're ready to go back, just let me know. But in the meantime, I just want to share with you a couple of the RSBN countdown kind of numbers we're looking at. So we know that there are 104 days until the U.S. general election. From there, 48 days until the debate between Donald Trump and will it be Kamala Harris or whoever the DNC puts in there? That'll be on Fake News ABC on September 10th. So that's 48 days away.
I think that's
another thing I wanted to share with you is, one of the themes for the RNC was Make America Wealthy Again. So there are 14 Fortune 500 companies based in North Carolina. So 14 huge corporations based there in North Carolina. They're also known for a number of other industries, aerospace and defense, the automotive, truck and heavy machinery, biotechnology, and a number of other items like financial services. So obviously a very important state in the union, 16 electoral votes, one of the swing states. But as we saw in 16 and 20, President Trump won those two election cycles. Now, again, the third time being a presidential nominee for the Republican Party, Donald J. Trump, as we saw at the RNC in Milwaukee. And then again, on the heels of that RNC, what an awesome event. Then, of course, later when we had the event in Grand Rapids, Michigan. You'll see there tonight the electric crowd. You'll feel what it's like to be there as we bring you the entire speech and the moments that are live. Obviously, historic times for our country as we are 104 days away from that election, and for our country going in one of two ways. One that is towards the truth, one is towards common sense, one towards the 20 GOP platforms that have been adopted by the RNC under a new Trump administration, one of the Constitution remaining the law of the land. And that list can continue, but all of those things on that list are obviously very positive. I won't even talk about what would be the opposite of all of that, because we're already living some of it right now. So that's what's at stake. We know that. And we thank you guys so much for tuning in here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. My name is Matthew Alvarez. Thank you so much for joining us. You can see right there, all you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801. So it's RSBN to 801-801. This is a way, if you'd like to donate at all to the network. We have awesome sponsors here. Obviously, this great network is not bought and paid for by any woke corporations at all. We work with awesome patriotic companies throughout this great land. And then you, the people, right? We're all in this together. We love to talk with you out there at the events. We love when we walk by and we hear, we love Right Side, or we love RSBN and all that. That's great, right? So let's do this together. Let's, if we can raise a few bucks, great. If you don't have $1 or $2 to do that right now, I get it. It's called Bidenomics. And we're hoping, obviously, for Maganomics to be installed instead of what we're dealing with right now. So RSBN to 801-801 as we take another live look there in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's rally day once again here on a Wednesday in the summer. But you know what? Every time there's a rally, every time there's an event, what an inspiring, great moment in time when we have everyone come together to make America great again as a unit. We do hear from President Trump at the speeches when he says, when we win the White House. He's not saying when I win the White House. This is not about just President Trump. He knows that. He does this for the people. I recall a speech, I believe it was when Barack Obama was out at the Capitol there, and he did one of his final speeches to the people. And he made a comment that was overheard by the camera after he left. And he said something like, you know, this is the last time I'm going to have to remember this, as he was looking at all the people. And sure, that might have been a moment of reflection for Barack Obama. But whether it's Obama or whoever, you can name anybody, this isn't about the elitist move. This is not about the name of the person. Obviously, you got to promote yourself in some ways, but this is all about our country. And that's what's awesome about President Trump and many others and the MAGA movement, which is also AKA the conservative movement or the freedom movement. So this is all for our nation, right? And it's great to see someone that has set the bar so high that is called an outsider. It's called a regular person. And that's what we're seeing here with this second run, or actually third run now at the White House for President Trump. Of course, winning in 2016. And then we know what happened in 2020. And now here we are in 2024. So let's get back to a few more stats again. 16 electoral votes up for grabs in North Carolina. Obviously doing well in the polls there, and a win in 2016 and 2020. So here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, again, we'll be here in having live coverage in West Palm Beach on Friday, and then St. Cloud, Minnesota. And I'm sure it'll be quite loud there as well, as I believe that one is also in an arena similar to this one here in Charlotte. Packed house there. And if we could take a look, I'm not sure, before we throw it back to Bobby and Nikki, at the upper bowl there. You remember in Grand Rapids how awesome that was and electric. You saw that there. So more of the same, but different in a way of it's a different state. A lot of people there that have never seen President Trump take the stage. And we'll be hearing from him shortly right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Go ahead and give Right Side a follow at RSBN on Truth Social, and also on Telegram or Locals. Another one is also follow the channel, RSBN channel on Rumble. Let's get the numbers up even more than they are even right now on Rumble. And of course, those of you watching on YouTube, X, Facebook, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Matthew Alvarez here in Auburn, Alabama. Let's send it out to Bobby McNeely and Nikki Stanzione, two great patriots and friends, right now live.
And welcome back to the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, for MAGA in North Carolina. President Donald Trump expected to speak in less than 1 hour now. I'm Bobby McNeely with the magnificent, the beautiful, the fabulous, the amazing Nikki Stanzione.
Thank you, Bobby. Listen, your introductions really can make a girl blush. Thank you. I appreciate that. And you are pretty darn fabulous yourself. I will say, you know, we've been talking all day to so many amazing people, but you've really shed a lot of light on a lot of historical facts and impressive statistics that really lend themselves to helping us make those informed decisions we talk about. The room has filled up and people are excited. There's an electric energy going on. And while we stand here in front of our RSBN audience, we try to inform, educate, and engage you so that you stick around all day long, because it's, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot right now, the politics of our life. And we want to bring a little levity and a little understanding and a lot of honesty.
And also just the logistics here. This press pool is full. It's pretty nice and cramped up here. Best seat in the house, but we have national and local press. And a lot of times these stadiums, Nikki and I were talking that they may cut off a section for logistics, but this is all packed now. I mean, there's not really an empty seat in the house, even behind us to the side. but also not a bad seat in the House per se. A beautiful stadium here,
It is.
Bojangles Coliseum in North Carolina.
It is. It's exciting to be in North Carolina. You know, I wanted to read something. Sorry for
Child,
reaching,
if they
but
knew
I
how old
got some
Bojangles
statistics that I thought were
Coliseum
important
is,
for us to talk
child, they
about
would not
when it
believe
comes to North Carolina, because one of the things that I feel like we have to recognize is that every single state has become a border state, right? Every state. So I was reading this. This comes from the Trump campaign, Trump Vance campaign. I got to keep remembering now that we actually have a vice president pick. But they said the average Tar Heel family here in North Carolina has already lost nearly $25,000 just paying for the increased cost of living that we've seen under the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris administration. She takes full responsibility for this administration as well, or she should. In fact, they say prices have jumped 21.4% since this administration took office. And so over half of North Carolina hardworking Americans are suffering. And another thing that they talked about was that the pro-criminal open border politics of Kamala Harris have cost the people of North Carolina really dearly, with nearly 500,000 illegal immigrants residing now in North Carolina.
Wow. And just to build on that, I had a friend actually text me some numbers. Under Trump, the inflation rate, 1.9% nationally. Under Biden, 17%. We're seeing close to Jimmy Carter numbers back in the late 70s, early 80s. Gas prices, an average of $2.17 per gallon. Now $3.96 on a national average. The average rent, Trump, $10.96. Joe Biden, $23.95. So just these essential prices really hurting the American family, American
Here in
individuals.
Charlotte,
We're seeing somewhat of a strange housing market where it's either you can go in, buy that house real quick, usually with cash on hand, or you're looking at the inflation rate of that. So the average home right now, just a little bit under 8% of that mortgage rate, which can decimate any first-time home buyer and has to continue to rent as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of the younger we saw a lot of younger generation folks today. We saw fourth graders, fifth graders, and we even saw a lot of 17-year-olds who are looking forward to finally voting as they turn 18. And they all said they're fearful about the prices in America right now, and of course of their own safety. So between inflation and crime, this is a universal issue. This is not a Democrat or Republican thing. This is a human being thing. We want Americans to stay safe, and we want to afford our lives. And those are the things that are on the ballot this year.
Reminds me of the 1992 election. Even Bill Clinton would say, it's the economy, stupid.
Yes.
And you see that somewhat reminiscent now in 2024. History has a way of repeating itself, going through ebbs and flows, but we clearly have inflation affecting almost all American families in one way or another. And I think that might drive people out to the polls as a result of you need safety and you need good economic times. And look, Chairman Whatley said it up on stage that elections have consequences, folks. So we have to look at this deeply and remain involved.
Right. And, when you get excited about something new or something different, which is what I think is happening right now on the other side, there's a lot of people, they see, Joe Biden's out, Kamala Harris, and a female, right? A minority, all of these things. I do want to also remember something, though, because as she continues to run as a woman she's been very against the greatest threat to democracy being a white male, right? She's talked about that over the years. I don't have the exact quotes, but I'm sure if you've watched the news over the years, you've heard them say white supremacy is one of the greatest threats to our democracy, which, of course, we know that is not the truth. And her husband is a white man. Her mother is, I believe, Indian, and her father is Jamaican. So for all of you out there who are saying, well, finally we have somebody like us, all of our friends and fabulous Black American, African Americans, remember something. She's not one of you. She's not even married to one of you.
Well, Megyn Kelly brought up an interesting point on her podcast, and it was regarding this very topic. So I'm a mother to a daughter. I'd love to see a first woman president.
I'm a woman. I love it.
Why the racial divisions? Why dividing people on social economic bounds? This woman, there have been debates in the past where people have run for president together, then they come together on a ticket, like Reagan and Bush back in
that's a big
1980, and they had a heroic combination together. But Kamala Harris called Joe Biden a racist.
She sure did.
During the 2020 presidential debates.
She
And
was
now
the
she's
little
saying
girl
his
on the
legacy-
bus.
Right.
Yeah.
His legacy is great. I mean, this is someone who's been very hypocritical on major policies. According to Chairman Watley and others, it looks like she will be the Democrat nominee. We have yet to see if that will take place with
Right.
President Biden. 14 million votes in the Democrat primary. Now stepping aside, endorsing his vice president, Kamala Harris. He'll finally address the nation tonight since leaving the race on Sunday afternoon. There'll be a primetime Oval Office address at 8 o'clock
And
Eastern,
we will have
just
that
after
for you as
President
well.
Trump
That's
gives his
a
6
day
o'clock
here.
address.
I'm gonna
What a
ask
day of news and what
Oh my
a day of
gosh.
events for the country.
And you know, we do have a wonderful seat, and all of you watching RSBN, you have the best seat. Okay, so right now we're getting announcements about people making their way to their seats. So this is another, I would say, Bobby, this is probably another example of a new security measure. Usually they don't make those announcements, but this is a new thing now we're hearing. Make sure that you get seated, make sure that you get in your seats and leave the concession stands. They want to leave open space. So I'm guessing that they want to make sure there's a lot of clearance before they bring President Trump out to ensure not only the safety of all of us, but of course to ensure his safety as well.
And even the waters that we grabbed,
Oh yeah.
they make you take the caps off.
Yes.
So a few changes.
Yes.
You can see that Secret Service always does an extraordinary job, very professional, but very, very tight with security. Also efficient, coming
I
in
like it.
rather quickly. So it's good to see that after a large scare, many questions, Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle has resigned after that House Oversight Committee, which was very bipartisan. A lot of those committees are not.
That's right.
The Democrats went more of a direction of gun control.
Correct.
But both were echoing that you failed at your job and you really cannot answer. She did not answer
She
many
did not.
crucial questions. One of the interesting things was I didn't know about this classification of different threat levels of suspicious versus threatening.
threat.
And apparently they had the scope on this man for a long period of time, but he
As
was considered
suspicious,
as
right?
suspicious, but
Yeah.
not threatening.
Yeah.
Even though they saw him on the roof with the gun, but thank God President Trump is okay. Sadly, our thoughts and prayers continue to be with the Capitor family, Corey Capitor, guarding his wife and daughters in a very sad moment. 2 others injured, and the biggest highlight, I think, from that moment, that scary moment in Butler, Pennsylvania, that you were there at with Vanessa
Yes.
Broussard,
Yes.
was the fact that no one ran. No one
ran.
trampled one another.
No.
The MAGA patriots viewing the rally were calm.
It was really something to see if you're just tuning in. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but Bobby and Matthew and everybody on the team, everybody was so kind to reach out to all of us, check on all of us, the whole crew. Thank God we were all fine. But I'll tell you, it was a terrifying moment. There, of course, you hear gunshots. You see your president get shot. We don't know. We just see him touch his ear and go to the ground. God only knows what that meant, right? And we hear, we don't know. Is it going to spray through the crowd? Does this man have explosives, which we found out in the end that he did in his car? We see a bomb squad with a bomb threat. I mean, we have no idea what our lives will be like in a matter of seconds. And all we can do is take cover and pray. And that's what we all did. And within seconds, you see President Trump rise. I mean, it's really ethereal, if you will. I mean, he comes up from the podium with his hand in the air and tells us to fight and looks more determined than ever for our country. And it was emotional. It was a relief, of course, first and foremost, but it was still scary. And we didn't know what the ramifications would have been for him once he got in that car and transported to the hospital. Thank God we all know now that he's on his way to a full recovery. And so are the other two victims of being shot, thank God. And President Trump has spoken to all the families. Just to clear it up, he has spoken to all the families. He was very, very pivotal in raising, I believe at this point, about, if I'm not mistaken, we're at least $6.5 million for the victims' families.
That's just fantastic. And it shows the resolve, the determination of this man, his family. Watching the RNC, probably the most united RNC. It was interesting politically, just 8 years ago, that was arguably a divided Republican National Convention. You had it in Ohio. The Ohio delegation very upset that Governor John Kasich did not win the nomination. He ran, quite frankly, a pretty poor campaign, I think, by anyone's standards, regardless of ideology. And they became very upset that Donald Trump had taken over a quote-unquote Republican establishment.
Right.
Short 8 years later, MAGA policies being put into 20 promises, a very straightforward populist message on the behalf of the Republican Party, to make it tangible, readable, just 16 pages or so versus the hundreds of pages you see out of Congress sometimes, or even these lobbyists that get involved telling candidates, well, you're going to run on this.
Yes.
Donald Trump saying, no, I'm going to run on these principles. And especially picking his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, who has championed these issues.
And to that point, when we talk about the agenda of 47, it's the 47th agenda. Let's not confuse those numbers. That is so important right now, because we have a lot of really interesting. Sorry, I got excited about the music. We have a lot of really interesting information from the entire campaign that really, I would say, outlines and focuses on what the agenda is for President Trump. And, you're hearing about another project that is not something that President Trump is involved in. I don't know how many times he has to go out and say, this has nothing to do with me. This is not my agenda. This is not mine. And everybody wants to deny it. You're hearing from the source himself that's not his.
Well, and that's what's been interesting to me, to watch different channels. We are big news junkies naturally, bringing this great coverage to you at RSBN.
Yes.
But I find that interesting. Perhaps no one has been examined, tested, put through hell and back like President Donald Trump has.
Nobody.
And that's what's interesting to me is he'll put it out on True Social.
Yep.
He'll put out these policies, especially on the issue of abortion.
Yes.
And look, he's taken the Reagan issue. He wants to work towards life for conception to natural death as much as possible, but there are exceptions. Of life of the mother.
This is not a federal ban. The federal choice was Roe versus Wade. That's where you had a federal decision, a national federal decision. He put it back to the states. So for everybody who continues to say, oh, he's putting a federal ban on women's rights. No, he's not. He's been very clear. I get very angry because I'm a woman myself. I want to have rights. This is a man who understands women's rights, and he understands the needs to be able to also win an election and find compromise, which is why he put it back to the states and has exceptions. Exceptions being incest, rape, and of course the mother's health and life.
Right, and to remain a united nation. And that's why I'm so happy with where President Trump stands, respecting the courts.
Yes.
He's if you will, a federalist type of president, believing in the 10th Amendment of the Bill of Rights that states do have a say in these things.
Right.
And I also find it interesting, too, because Senator Ted Cruz actually wrote his dissertation on this about the anti-federalists versus the federalists. So the federalists had put out in the Constitutional Convention, quite simply, that our Constitution is good. We don't need a Bill of Rights. The anti-federalists said, no, hold on a second. It became several weeks of debate. And Ted Cruz said that I think the founders, all of them going back, would be so happy that they put the Bill of Rights together. That was a major compromise on the part of the Federalists.
That's so interesting. Again, great historical facts. And that's so important to recognize, because it goes to show you that everybody recognizes the importance of exceptions, of compromise, of finding a way to meld the parties, to meld the opinions, because nobody's going to agree on everything. I always say, you get married, you might love your husband or wife more than life itself. Do you love everything about them? Of course not. Are you going to find something about every candidate? You might say, well, I don't love this or I don't love that. But overall, does this person align with my character, with my values, with my morals, with my ethics?
Right.
And that's what I urge everybody who's watching to remember when they go to the ballot box this year.
And that's what you do. You elect a set of policies, someone to enact that. The office of the presidency and the executive branch is about enacting certain policies that will hopefully make the country great again.
Yeah,
and we saw that in the first term of Donald Trump. And that's what's so interesting, but compared to the MAGA policies of the Republican Party versus the Democrat policies.
Yes.
This is a big tent populist movement.
Yeah.
We have Vice President Kamala Harris is going to the Sun Belt. She's going to the blue state wall that is the Rust Belt, trying to make her case, but you just have policies that are completely against the American worker.
Well, in fact, I was reading something that somebody had written. It said, my decision to not even consider Kamala Harris, and this is a person who's a Democrat, and he said, she created a bail fund for rioters in 2020 who destroyed cities to put a political agenda. That's terrorism. She let them skate. She supported 2 propositions in California that exacerbated crime, making it incredibly difficult for law enforcement to stop crime, and a no cash bail, even against the will of the California voters. She was tasked with solving the border crisis. She only went to the border because she was pressured to do so, and she never actually went to the official southern border. She has never been there. She also hasn't been to Europe, in case you haven't heard, which is interesting. You heard that interview.
Well, and Miss Fundner talking about that in her speech at the RNC convention, that borders are, what a joke. Her son dying from fentanyl.
And think about those real Americans who talked at the convention. Also, she engages in race baiting and fear mongering, which lets us know she has zero solutions to the issues that Americans are facing now. This is why so many are questioning how in the world is she ready and able to lead Americans.
It's an excellent question, Nikki. And this is someone, as Senator J.D. Vance said at his homecoming rally in Middletown, Ohio on Monday, that she's always had a government paycheck. She's always been someone that, quite frankly, didn't go out into the working world and make something of herself. And you can have experience from government. There's no disparaging of that.
Yeah.
But you clearly had a ticket of Biden and Harris who lived off of the taxpayer, who blamed others, who race baited. Go back to Joe Biden being, the chair of a judiciary in the Senate. The hard time he gave to Clarence Thomas, it was eerily reminiscent to what Senator Kamala Harris did to Brett Kavanaugh in 2018. A horrendous moment where actually I've had family members who are Democrats who left the Democrat Party as a result of that hearing.
Really?
And either became independent or Republican because of the way he was treated.
Interesting. Yeah, you were talking about that with me, and I thought, what an interesting comparison to make, because I didn't even occur to me, but you're right. So reminiscent of what we saw there. And Joe Biden, yes, he has given service to the nation in the Senate for many years, then as vice president, now as president. But what has he done to make our country better is the question I ask you, and ask you to ask yourself. And when you do ask that question, really think about how your life, not what you hear, not what you're told to believe, but how has your and your family's life been better? Have you felt safer? Have you felt like you're able to save money? Have you felt like you're able to afford more? Have you felt healthier? Think about all of those things. I'm not telling you what to believe or what to say. That's your choice. But I can personally say the answer to all those questions is no.
Well, and look, like Ronald Reagan did with President Carter at the time, he said, well, there you go again, and simply looked at the camera and said, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
Right.
President Trump has this moment of an attempt to return to the presidency, but with a record now in place.
Yes.
He made promises, kept promises, was highly successful on many fronts, and very interesting to see the correlations between Reagan and Trump.
Very true.
Both private businessmen, an actor who had become governor of California, then president of the United States, who led a revolution, the Reagan Revolution of large coalitions.
Yes.
Very similar to what President Donald Trump has been able to accomplish.
And able to, with Reagan, of course, we saw, the please tear down this wall moment. And when you think about that, it reminds me a lot of the peace that we saw in the Middle East, thanks to the Abraham Accords, and what President Trump was able to do, even when he crossed the line. When I talk about him crossing the line, you know what I mean. Taking that leap of faith and that step to talk to Kim Jong-un. And that moment was unprecedented, never been seen before. And everyone was so afraid. Oh, how could he do this? How could he? He had no fear because he was representing us. He was representing America. And he always says, people give him a hard time about making alliances with enemies, making alliances with people that are not good people. He knows that. He knows what a good person is. He understands when people are out for the best for their country and when they're not. But in his eyes, and I think it should be in all of our eyes, isn't it better to befriend these people and be in a good relationship with them so they don't hurt us? Of course, that's a better move. And he was never afraid. And he took those steps, literally, figuratively, and literally, took those steps to keep us safe. That, to me, is what I want in a leader.
Right. And if you did not see strength in the past, whether it's dealing with President Xi, whether it's dealing with Kim Jong-un or President Vladimir Putin of Russia.
Yes.
The key thing is that they did not move an inch when he was president of the United States.
Right.
And now the ultimate toughness that even got the attention of Mark Zuckerberg with the Zuckerbucks and influencing elections in the past. clearly even Mark Zuckerberg said, wow, what a moment and what a strength that President Trump exuded on July 13th, or J13 in Butler, Pennsylvania.
I mean, if you're being honest with yourself, you know that's true. If you just decided you want to be angry, or you decided not to like him, not because you don't really know why you don't like him, but because you decided that because you were told not to, then I guess you can have your feelings. But if you really look within yourself, if you saw that moment, how as a human being could you have not been impressed?
Oh, exactly. It was one of the telling moments of our time. And then seeing a lot of the merch, we got to show you some merch outside if you were watching earlier. But the iconic photo or the prison shot was on many T-shirts. We saw some of those. But now you have the shot of him throwing up his hand, the fight, bloodied on the right ear. And I had a friend send me a story that I covered last week in the studio. And it was regarding the Levitical priesthood, and that Aaron and his sons, some of the first Levitical priests in the Old Testament, actually had that signify of the sacrifice of blood put over their right ear in order to go out and do mission, to be selected to do God's will. And what that moment kind of gave me goosebumps, because I wasn't really aware of that until my friend sent me that.
It gives you the chills. And then I think about also the 6/11 time, right? Because there's been a lot of, I don't have it in front of me, but I know there's been a lot of talk about that exact moment. 6/11 has meaning as well, about being protected by God. Right. So I thought that was really, there's so many symbolic moments to talk about. Speaking of moments, let me just walk out of the picture for a moment. I'd love for you guys to see this crowd, because it is filling up, Bobby. Big
it really is. And again, behind us in the press pool, completely packed. And then in front of us here and to the sides, there's not a seat left in the house. And that's what we see very common of these MAGA rallies, is that there are so many people coming here. Sometimes their first rally. Sometimes we spoke to people in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where it was 60 plus MAGA rallies. So exciting if it's your first, if it's more than 60 for you. And I do wonder, Nikki and I are trying to find out if the playlist is being led by President Trump at this moment. Because it seems like his favorite songs are coming up at the podium here. Heck of a lot of energy, everyone getting their shots there. And it's great to be with friends and press folks from a number of different networks here. It is a packed press pool. We are very excited to be here with you at RSPN, giving you live coverage of President Trump about to speak in roughly, give or take, 35 minutes here.
Amazing. And if you look at what's happening right now, you're seeing a calm, patriotic, positive crowd that gets along with each other. And I heard from a lot of people, which I thought was interesting, and I think it's important for our audience to know, that people that came over from the other side, if you will, they've been welcomed with open arms. There's never any anger. There's never any resentment. It's not, oh, how could you have done this? Or how did you think that? It's welcome to the party of the people. And it's beautiful to see that. You don't see, I'll speak for myself. I've been to several rallies. I never see protests. I never see people that are angry. Every now and then you get one or two people that are bad seeds that are, trying to cause trouble. But in general, it's a collectively happy, unified crowd. And not everybody began as a Trump supporter. They realized the facts. They paid attention to the stories, the truth, the realities. They look at their lives in comparison and with a stark contrast of one administration to another. And they said, I'm in.
And that's a great point, Nikki, because it's not so much Republican and Democrat now. It's more of an American moment.
Yeah.
It's a populist moment. The beautiful thing about all the different platforms we have is, and again, just a couple of years ago, Donald Trump was removed from social media. Big tech did that. Then people fought back, whether you had Parler, Getter, True Social. And now you have so many ways to share information, so many ways to digest and ingest your news, good, bad, the ugly, whatever it may be. But the sharing platforms, I think, have opened up a lot of eyes for people to realize, oh, gosh, the government bureaucracy of the deep state of Washington, D.C. might not be serving us so great as a country. Even people like James Comey, the former disgraced FBI director, so what if he was a Republican? It proved that it doesn't matter party. It doesn't matter ideological background necessarily. There are a set of policies that are America first, and that Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States, has adopted in his campaign to become the 47th president of the United States.
And that's what everybody here is hoping to see. And right now we're looking at Queen on the big screen. Clearly President Trump loves Freddie Mercury's music. I don't blame him, so do I. And every single song makes you feel inspired. And he chooses moments from concerts and videos that get us back to the idea of music brings us together, just like the collective idea of a nation that is great, right? And so
true.
Music, you go to a concert, you don't think, oh, are you Democrat? Are you Republican? Are you conservative? Are you liberal? No, you enjoy the music, you share the moment. And I think he thinks a lot like that. That's kind of his MO, is bring everybody together. We all want a safe life. We all want a crime-free life. We all want freedom. We all want rights, and we all want to be able to afford the life that we work hard for. That's really the bottom line of the whole 47th agenda.
It really is. And you see a lot of people that we get to interview on a regular basis, the everyday hardworking Americans who take a day off to come to this on Wednesday, a packed house. They've been out here for hours, folks. I mean, in some cases, close to 12 hours, waiting in the heat, waiting in the sun. It was a little cooler, got overcast early afternoon, but still a hot day. We had, and thank God the medics were fantastic. Some people had some water issues. So if you ever come to one of these rallies, make sure you have plenty of water. Hydrate, make sure you get a nice breakfast in you. And
Breakfast of Champions.
The Breakfast of Champions, some eggs, some bacon, some sausage, all that good stuff. Oatmeal. It powers the American might. And that's another thing, too. Just go ahead, eat protein, eat meat, because we're Americans. We don't need all this necessarily plant-based stuff.
Listen, I'm all for being healthy, but you can be healthy and still live a good life. You don't have to we don't want deprivation. And that's the thing, a lot of times also you'll hear in on the other side, I hate saying that because I want us to all be one side, but that's just not how it is. But when you hear people saying, it's we struggled, we don't want to struggle. We might have to work a little harder not to struggle, but that's okay. That's the American life. That's the American dream, is you have to work hard to achieve what you want in this world. Not everything's always going to come to you. Not everything's always going to be perfect. But if you fight for what you believe in, you work hard for what you want to earn, you take care of the people you love, you live a life under faith, that's the American dream.
I think we should step aside slightly just for them to hear this message.
Yes.
Unprecedented search warrant at President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. The former president has both sides of the political aisle up in arms.
Dangerous and unstable moment in American history.
The Justice Department has just indicted former President Donald Trump.
For 7 years, they hated him, they targeted him, they hunted him.
This is the epitome of the abuse of the prosecutorial power to preempt political decisions.
I never thought anything like this could happen in America. The only crime that I have committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it. The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never be moving. On November 5th, 2024, justice will be done. We will take back our country, and we will make America great again. America will always rise to every challenge and overcome every danger.
Donald Trump seems to always get stronger when challenged. These types of things, I think, give him strength.
When I'm reelected, I will totally obliterate the deep state.
As long as we have pride in our beliefs, courage in our convictions, and faith in our God, then we will not fail.
I can see what's happening. What? And they...
The energy.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I get choked up. This is so special.
You can feel the energy. There's no question about it.
You know, this is really special because these ads. So I don't know if you guys can see, but they run the ads on the big screens. There's huge screens. It's like being at a sporting event. And on the big screens, you see these moments, and they're just beautiful reminders of the presidency of Donald J. Trump and the moments that, you know, even through all of the, I would say, criminalization, all of the demonizing of him and his presidency, when you actually look at it, there's nothing but love, but hope, and actual truth. Not to mention a man of action.
Oh, no question. And in these trying times, we have to take care of our finances.
We sure
and
do.
that's why American Financing is right there for you. If you're a homeowner, you can save $854 per month on average.
Yes. Well, a lot of us are struggling to pay the bills. I mean, everything from food to gas and even our energy bills, like you said. I mean, it's a tough time for us. But here's the thing. What happens is if you own a home, you really will want to call on your friends at American Financing because, like you said, saving $854 a month. But think about that. If you are tapping into home equity, right, and you wipe out high interest credit card debt, you're looking at $854 a month being literally like a $10,000 raise.
So scary. And over 66% of Americans have credit card debt. Most are living from paycheck to paycheck. So $854 a month is huge. And that's why you should talk to our friends over at American Financing if you own a home.
No upfront fees to get started, which is fabulous. And of course, all you have to do is call today. Maybe you don't even have to make next month's mortgage payment. How nice would that be? American Financing is 888-402-0299. That's 888-402-0299. AmericanFinancing.net and then /RSBN. That's us. We're RSBN.
That's us. You got to protect your family, your home, and your assets.
Yes.
I want to share, Nikki. We just got a gift from a patriot in the audience who wanted to give this to us. It's Patriot Jerky, Never Surrender.
Yum.
So we get that on camera right there.
Did he hear you
Looks
talking about
delicious.
meat?
Mark Minton. He might have, I wonder. But it looks delicious. Let's see here.
I want some of that.
Oh, wow. 2 servings per container, only 80 calories.
I'm looking at that
15 grams of protein. This might be a snack. Thank you, Mark Minton. Patriot
Thank you.
Jerky. And he has Psalm 31:24 over there. Be strong and take heart, all you hope in the Lord. So I think Nikki and I will be enjoying this later. Thank you, sir.
I just love
Yeah.
Look at
Isn't
that.
that great?
I love that he has. Great. I'm having some.
What a moment. I think so. I think we might have to have some. Maybe
great.
during the speech.
what a nice thing. I mean, this is what it's about. You know, people were passing out cupcakes on the lines. They were passing out water. People were passing out snacks. The ladies, the kindest, most wonderful ladies, they were the ones that give us our credentials when we come in. They gave me peanut butter crackers because they knew I was hungry. I mean, they're just the nicest people here. I cannot say enough about it.
The MAGA Patriots come prepared with Gatorade, with water, and are very generous. It's almost like you're out knocking door to door. I've done that with political campaigns, and everyone's like, do you want to come in, especially down south? You want to come in for a moment? I'm like, I'd love to, but I got to keep going. So it's just wonderful to have that out. Just good friends here at the MAGA rallies.
It's funny, you know, we travel all over, and you wonder what are you going to see in every city? What's the reception going to be? And I think, well, when we're in the South, maybe it'll be like this. When we're in the North, but it's pretty uniform. I mean, I would say everywhere we go, it's the same collective kindness that we notice and the desire for unity. I think our country is just craving a way to not be so divided. I think we crave that. And so it does surprise me to see that even after what we heard from Joe Biden after the attempted assassination, that the rhetoric continues, calling Donald Trump a threat to democracy. You know, before the shooting, you said it earlier, putting Donald Trump in a bullseye is about as negative and dangerous as anything I've ever heard.
Right, and you don't see Republicans reciprocating in that regard.
No.
We had, Steve Scalise was highly emotional during the RNC.
Oh, yeah.
He was shot at congressional baseball practice. And if it wasn't for Senators Paul and Flake at the time, Jeff Flake, the then senator, now an ambassador under the Biden administration, they saved Steve Scalise's life.
Thank God.
So he was highly emotional in that moment as well.
Yeah.
And that was someone who was clearly inspired by the far left. We learned that. But Republicans did not rescind. They called for a lower temperature.
That's right.
And you still have President Biden saying things like, you said, Nikki, that President Trump's a threat to democracy or has a bullseye on him. And it's just unneeded rhetoric. And fortunate to see other channels somewhat going there. Lester Holt asking the president about that, and President Biden trying to change his words in that moment. You know, when push comes to shove, you end up exiting a presidential race, clearly. And the whole thing is the threat to democracy. 14 million people voted for Joe Biden.
That's right. That's
and,
right.
And no votes will be going to the nominee at this Democrat convention. I don't think that's fair to the American people.
Absolutely not fair. And something that I thought was very interesting was President Trump put on his Truth Social the other day that he's hearing all of these people praising Joe Biden for being so unselfish. Oh my gosh, he's so unselfish. Look what he did for America. He's so patriotic. 2 days before that, they told you he's absolutely the most energetic guy you've ever met. They can't even keep up with him. They're lying. And that's the thing that bothers me, is that if it was fair, if they were telling the truth, and that was your choice, then fine, all the power to you. But they lied to us. They told us he was fine. They told us the border was safe. They told us the border had no issues. They told us that the Bidenomics was making the country great again. They told us they created, 15 million jobs after they did not create it, but jobs were taken away because of a worldwide pandemic. So pay attention to the lies that you're told. And on that note, the sad thing is, when somebody's getting praised for backing out, remember this, he was not backing out unselfishly. One day before he was home with COVID, he told the nation he wasn't going anywhere. They pushed him out. They stabbed him in the back. The secret behind the scenes, you're hearing it, right? People saying, he was very unhappy.
Well, and you had Politico actually reporting that Nancy Pelosi the last few weeks was feverishly calling different big Democrat donors, different super delegates. You see, their process is different than the RNC,
Shady,
where elected officials actually have a higher weighted vote at their convention. And so she's making the phone calls and apparently told the Biden campaign, we are not going to go easy in this last week leading up to, at 1:46 on Sunday, President of the United States, Joe Biden, dropping out of the presidential race. And via tweet, via the headline on the piece of paper he wrote, or if his communications person wrote it, Joseph R. Biden Jr., no insignia of the United States, none of the White House or the presidency. And then a tweet right after that endorsing Kamala Harris as vice president for president. So very interesting. We'll hear tonight from the man from the Oval Office, right after President Trump gives what's sure to be a resounding, energetic speech here in the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yes.
We're excited to be here for RSBN and to join you, Nikki, again. It's such a pleasure.
I love being here with you, Bobby. I always learn so much from him. And, you know, you and I both share, obviously, a similar opinion to how we feel about the president. But we also speak from a place of informed opinions. It's not just, this is how I feel, from nowhere, because that's you're seeing a campaign on the other side. I feel that that's coming more from emotion than from facts, and you have to stop and really ask yourself the questions that matter to you. That being said, I also want to ask you guys to please follow RSBN on all the platforms, all social platforms. You can find RSBN. You can also go to rsbnetwork.com, get the app, follow us, and go to YouTube and Rumble to watch. And then, of course, you can follow both of us as well. I'm at Nick Stanz, NIKSTANZ, on both Instagram and on Truth.
Yes, and I'm at Robert B. McNeely on Truth, at Robert McNeely MC on Instagram. And we love to talk with all the patriots who are watching our network.
Yes.
Communicate with us about what's happening. And that's, I think, what's so fun for us is hearing the stories in real time.
We love
it.
Speaking
about health, we're grateful for our sponsors, especially the wellness company, Dr. Drew Pinsky and Dr. Peter McCullough, two gentlemen who were canceled for dedicating years in their career, telling the truth, unlike Dr. Fear, Dr. Fauci, who was pushing the pharmaceutical industry. They've made billions. That's correct. Billions with a B, keeping you sick. We don't have a healthcare system in America. We have a keep you sick system.
That's sad.
So they've created this beautiful kit of ivermectin, amoxicillin, zinc, and 8 other medications to keep you safe at home. And so if you go to makeitcaregreatagain.com, you can use code RSBN to purchase your kit with $45 off and free shipping. What can you get for free shipping nowadays? And whether it's bird flu, monkeypox, COVID. Who knows when there's another outbreak? So safeguard your health and the health of your family.
Yes.
MakeCareGreatAgain.com. And this is prescription only. So
That's
you can't
right.
get this just from Walgreens or
No.
CVS pharmacies or any other pharmacy.
That's right.
Get the prescription from your doctor. And thank you for Dr. Drew Pinsky and Dr. Peter McCullough. MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Save $45 with code RSBN with free shipping.
Isn't that great? I mean, we want to listen. Our sponsors want to keep you healthy, feeling good, and looking good, and also help you with your financial situations, whatever they may be, whether it be for Birch Gold or, of course, our tax network is so important as well. So we're here to make America great again for everybody, wherever you are, wherever you're watching from. That's what we're here to do. And when we think about the fighting spirit of America, we think about President Trump. And what makes me feel sad, and I have to say it, what makes me feel sad is that I have a lot of friends who support the other side, and they don't support President Trump. And they say things that hurt me because I see him. We talk to people all the time who work with him, and they only have such wonderful things to say about him as a human being. I see videos of him and watch, so much with him and his family. He's a good man, and he's been demonized by so many people. That being said, if you don't like him or you don't agree with me, I'm upset about it, but I'm not going to treat you any differently. My love and friendship with you or care for you and respect for you, I will still treat you the same. I may tell you how I feel. I might disagree with you. Open debate is so important, but I don't change my love or care about somebody. And I find that on the other side, when they find out that you are a supporter on this side, there's an automatic flip of a switch of this anger or this disrespect or this change of heart. And it's hurtful because we're still the same people we've always been, and we believe in somebody for a reason, and maybe explore that reason rather than judge. I think that's really important.
Well, it's a great point, Nikki, because that's why history is important. That's why if we don't know where we came from, we don't know where we're going.
That's right.
Famously, both presidents who held this high office, as President Donald Trump has and is intending to again, Presidents John Adams and Thomas Jefferson started as friends, worked on the Declaration of Independence together, and brave souls who ended up really not talking for years, being very upset with each other, then passing on the same day, the 50th anniversary, the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and Thomas Jefferson not knowing that John Adams had passed just 5 hours prior, and some of his last words were, "At least Adams lives." They were able to reconcile and restore that friendship, and simply because of a difference on policy positions or even battling, whether it be in public or private life, shouldn't expel a relationship simply because of a debate on religion or politics or even philosophy.
Beautifully said. To that point, it was interesting at the RNC to see so many of the formal rivals of President Trump on that stage endorsing him with full support and excitement, really. I mean, I have never seen Ron DeSantis that energized or excited about anything as he was about President Trump that night that he spoke.
That was a great speech, and really interesting to see the future. You don't like to speculate necessarily of Governor DeSantis, even Ambassador Haley. And they both had resounding unity speeches that were really interesting. And look at Senator J.D. Vance. He was an opponent of President Trump a few short years ago and has come full circle. And maybe one of the reasons why President Trump selected him was that not only their rapport together, not only fighting for the same issues and the difference in age, passing it on to the millennial generation, but the fact that if this guy could go from "I don't like you" to "let's work together," just about anyone else can.
And that really speaks to exactly what we were just talking about, which goes to show you once he became informed, once he really listened to the president, once he actually paid attention, not to what he was told to believe, but what he actually saw, he said, wait a second, this guy he's a great person. I want to be a part of this movement. So that's why we always encourage, and that's why we always encourage you to watch our RSBN, because you'll see it all. And whether you agree with us or disagree with us, give yourself a chance to be informed, understand, educate, and learn. We share this agenda so often. And when President Trump's campaign team put out the agenda for this entire election season, it was all about, of course, making America great again. But what does that entail? It entails securing our borders, deporting illegal aliens. And remember, this is a country of a melting pot of immigrants. We love people coming here from all over the world. That's what we're all about. But you got to do it legally.
Well, and we saw Korean Americans out today, Vietnamese Americans who are flying both flags of their native countries, saying, "God bless the USA," and fight, fight, fight. We saw some bullhorns out there early in the morning, and just the excitement behind it. And I found that with a lot of getting to interview first-generation Americans or those who are immigrants who did it legally, the passion they have for this country. I have a good friend back in Georgia who's actually running for the state Senate, Amelia Semamoa. She's a wonderful person, and a shout out there, Amelia. I don't mean to embarrass you, but you are running for the state Senate, Peachtree Corners area of Georgia, just northeast of Atlanta.
That's lovely.
And she talks about this a lot. She's from Tonga, and her whole family here now in the United States. And she says, I'm a proud legal immigrant.
Wow.
An inspiring story there. And you see that on a regular basis at these MAGA events. And so that's why we encourage you, if you haven't been out to one of them, please find the one closest to you and come on out and experience it for yourself.
I believe this Saturday, I think it's both of them, if I'm not mistaken, both President Trump and J.D. Vance will be in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken.
They should be on Saturday in St. Paul, Minnesota, and a state that President Trump is really gearing for.
Oh, yeah.
He had that passion in his voice last two times, and I want Minnesota.
He wants Minnesota,
So
and we
close.
do too. I live there, and I'll tell you, my friends are fired up. I have a lot of very, very Trump-loving friends who just want to see a change in Minnesota with a lot of the issues that they're facing there. And I get so frustrated when I talk about it, but it's really something to see all of these very important battleground states turning the corner. In New Jersey, I will tell you, I live in New Jersey. We are seeing a lot of changes. It's looking like President Trump could very well get the lead in New Jersey. Polls are showing him. Yesterday, I saw so many different polls. I mean, we saw him leading Kamala by 10 in some polls, by 11 in other polls. You know, I don't know how much faith I put in a poll just yet because things change so much on their side. But I do put faith in the people who are behind President Trump that they will get out there because the support is so palpable.
And what you have here is a Rust Belt, Sun Belt, Mid-Atlantic states battle that's taking place here. And I think that was also the approach of selecting someone like Senator J.D. Vance, who actually went to East Palestine, Ohio, when the spillage happened. When
just like President Trump.
Huge failure of Secretary Buttigieg, someone who's been spoken of being a running mate of Kamala Harris potentially.
Well, he did do a photo op.
Right.
You remember, he put the hat on.
He did the photo op. But then, if you can remember, Senator J.D. Vance taking the stick and scraping it across the water, and all those colors and those chemicals coming out, and the mayor of East Palestine, Ohio, speaking at the RNC. Clearly, President Trump has not forgotten about middle America.
No.
And they have this opportunity to once again select and choose the next president of the United States.
And you have that opportunity. It's just, I don't know the exact countdown, but I know we are just, let's see, we're August is next week. August, September, October, and then we've got 5 days in November, and that is it. And that is the deadline. And that's why we're telling you, get out and vote now. Do it early if you can. If you have an opportunity, the sooner the better. We cannot let this happen. Listen, we just have to make it too big to rig, as he always says. That's the thing. And
it was such an important policy plank and platform for the president that's included in those 20 promises.
Right.
He came across saying, whatever you need to do, because some people, your kids might get sick on election day. You might get sick on election day, held up at work. I've seen it time and again, people rushing right at the end of before the polls close. So make that plan, vote early, mail in your ballot if you need to, whatever it is, get out there and do that. He also wants voter ID across the country. And that's why not? You know, we see it, it's been installed in many states, many secretaries of state. We had the pleasure of interviewing the gentleman earlier today about working on election integrity, something that's brought a lot of people to the movement since the issues that happened, in 2020 and even prior to that in major cities.
Well, and I do want to address also that when President Trump asked about the election and asked people what happened here, it was a legitimate question to ask, what's going on? But you have to remember what happened 4 years earlier, because when he was elected, there were cries for, is it possible to assassinate the president? I'd like to blow up the White House. Celebrities holding a decapitated photo, which I know traumatized President Trump's family. These types of things happen. You heard Maxine Waters ask for violence, really ask for people to get in our faces if we voted for him or if we believed in this movement. I'm not saying that one side is right or wrong. What I'm saying is the hypocrisy is maddening. And all the things that he was critiqued for and demonized for and vilified for were the things that were happening when he won. So you have to remember, and the rhetoric was very negative and violent. So we have to find a peaceful compromise here, no matter what happens. We have to remember that this is a society that is supposed to be free and peaceful. And that's what we're going for.
Very true, Nikki. And we have some exciting news.
Oh, yeah. I love this news.
We launched our own news store, Sticker Mule. It's packed with awesome RSBN merch, whether it's the T-shirts, the stickers, the keychains. I put some stickers on my laptop. I love to parade that around. And some people say, be careful. Actually, my mom is like, you're a guy, don't put stickers on your laptop.
Mine too,
but
with my bracelet.
I got to advertise a great company, which is RSBN. And we're honored to work for this great network and bring out all of nonstop coverage of all these different Trump events. But a big portion of sales goes directly to RSBN, ensuring we can continue to bring that to you and your family, fellow patriots at home, with the unfiltered real news coverage of what happens at Trump rallies and where President Trump might be with some upcoming conferences. So go to stickermule.com/RSBN. Get your merch, stickers, keychains, T-shirts. We have plenty. We have our Mr. Directors wearing some nice hat and T-shirt today.
Nice.
And excited to have that out there for you at our new store.
I love that. I really do love that we're doing that. Stickermule.com, right? That's it. It's so incredible to have a way to wear, to showcase, and to share all of these fun ways that you've been a part of a historical moment, because this is a moment in time that we will never see ever again. And I really appreciate that you can buy gifts for people. I have so many friends who are so all about Make America Great Again. It's a great place to buy gifts when you think, like, what does this person need? What don't they have? Think about, you're not only getting a great gift that they'll enjoy, but you're marking a moment in time that will never get back again. And I just think it's beautiful. By the way, American Trilogy is playing right now by Elvis. And I've read so many comments on the feeds by so many of our friends, and they've commented, why doesn't he play American Trilogy all the time? Because it's such a perfect song. And here it is, it's playing. So he's listened to all of you.
You once had a Hollywood who loved America, an industry that has changed, but inspirational again to see our past, where our culture's been, where it's going.
Here it goes.
And you have everything to celebrate and enjoy here at a Trump rally, and that's amazing for us. I mean, we have to keep the energy up just being on air, but it's these folks standing out here for hours in the heat, sweating.
Yes.
We'll do whatever it takes. We will skip work to come on a Wednesday and wait 12 plus hours sometimes to see the next president of the United States.
They're standing right now for this song because they're saying glory, glory, hallelujah, right?
You know, if this is American nationalism, I'm proud of it, quite frankly, because you'll hear that on the left too, that, oh, this nationalism, this, that, and the other. It's people caring about each other. It's neighbors watching out for one another. And we see it on display on a regular basis in all the different great cities we get to go to. We have a beautiful country, don't we, Nikki?
We really do. And it's moments like this that we realize it so much. I mean, we know it, but sometimes it just takes a moment like this, a song like this. You see all these fellow patriots, you see flags flying, and you just take a deep breath and go, my goodness, how blessed am I to live in this country? Let's honor our country. Let's respect our country. Let's close our borders and honor those who really do the work to come here and have the honor of being called an American citizen. To that point, why in the world would you want people who are not citizens to vote for our leaders? That is absolutely as un-American as it gets. And we're hearing the other side wanting this to be a reality. It's not an American value.
Well, and it was wonderful. I really enjoyed your interview, Nikki. If you've been tuning in with us earlier, we had Brandon Judd on, National Border Patrol Council president, a man very bipartisan, worked for President Obama, praised some of President Obama's deportation policies. Many of those photos you saw of the kids in cages were actually time-stamped in 2014, and the left blamed President Trump for that.
Yes.
But then you have Brandon Judd saying, like, I'm not a very political guy. It's about common sense. This is my career, and we need to put these policies back into place.
Yes.
An amazing interview.
That's it. And you know, that's from the source himself.
Right.
That's important to know. Now, all these people standing up for the finale of this great trilogy song. It's one of the greatest songs of all time for American love. But here we are. Look at all these fabulous people. They're so revved up. They're so excited. I'm waiting to see some Elvis poses out there. It's only a matter of minutes before we see President Trump. Look at that.
Very exciting.
Wow.
In the meantime, we want to thank another sponsor, Birch Gold.
Yes.
And if you
let's talk
text
about Birch
Trump
Gold.
to 989898,
Yes.
you can get a beautiful pamphlet that will highlight all you could do to convert your 401k or IRA to precious metals, gold and silver.
Yes.
In these Biden inflation times, you need to protect you and your family,
That's right.
financially especially.
Listen, for over 20 years, Birch Gold has helped tens of thousands of people, and they've helped us protect our savings. And that's so important, turning, like you said, our IRAs and all of our 401ks into actual gold, which is it's a commodity that continues to be one of our steadiest in the market, if not rising. To learn more, just text the word, as you said, to 989898 Trump, TRUMP. I think you'll remember it. And you just claim your free, no obligation info kit on gold. Again, that's Trump to the number 989898. So many happy Americans. Just protect those savings with gold before the dollar plunges any further.
And because, for 50 years, this was a change in the Nixon administration. We went from the gold standard to the petrodollar.
Yeah.
The Saudi Arabians were trading with us, making the dollar the reserve currency of the world. Now they're trading with the BRICS nations because of the failures of the Biden administration, whether it's Brazil, India, China, and others. So a very scary time. Keynesian economics in play. Protect yourself. We got Ron Paul. Stephen Bannon.
Yeah.
We have Dan Bongino. Trusted voices who believe in Birch Gold. So text Trump to 989898. Protect yourself financially.
Why not do something for yourself and for your family that's going to help you, right?
Just common sense, absolutely.
And to that point, the two words that I encourage you to recognize as you watch, listen to, research Donald Trump: common sense. He is not, and he says it every time, he'll probably say it today, it's not the party of conservatives. It's not about a party of liberals. It's about a party of common sense. And that is what our country has been lacking.
I had a friend of mine back in 2016, actually. We were actually serving on a Chamber of Commerce Young Professionals Board. This is back in the Chicago area. And she had mentioned to me, not a very political person, but she thought, what's interesting is at the time the ticket was President Trump and then Governor Pence became vice president.
Yes.
But she said, what's really interesting about Donald Trump is that he's more of a moderate. He's not really ideological conservative, ideological liberal. He's always based his business career on common sense, bringing people to the table. We saw that with Sean O'Brien, the first Teamster, president of the International Teamsters Union, to address the RNC. First time in 121 years.
Yeah.
And Sean O'Brien talked about it. It's not about the far right and the far left who are criticizing him actually being there.
That's right.
It was about President Trump who opened that door for him to actually
sure
speak
did.
at the convention.
Well said. I mean, I think of three words when I think of President Trump. Looking back at his past interviews with celebrities, when he was on Oprah, when he was on Letterman, when he was on all of these different talk shows, three words that come to mind to me: consistency. His messaging has been consistent since the 80s. Strength, which I think is exemplified all the time.
Oh, exactly. And we'll show the folks the room here.
And of course, the third word that comes to my mind is class. He brings class to this nation as well.
Absolutely. And we're expecting President Donald Trump momentarily here coming out for this beautiful MAGA rally. It's a packed house, folks. As you can see, there is not an empty seat in the house for the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, MAGA in North Carolina on a warm, a little bit blustery, humid Wednesday. A little bit overcast earlier. Has not necessarily been the hottest day for us in our recent experience, but still a hot summer day nonetheless in beautiful North Carolina. Very close to the South Carolina border. So we had a moment of asking the Patriots in the audience, do you prefer North Carolina or South Carolina? A great debate, two wonderful states. A big place where people have moved to. You have people from the Midwest, from New York, come on down to these states that are economically thriving in really difficult times and with no help from the federal government nor the Biden administration, but states that will nonetheless come into play. We are in the Sun Belt of North Carolina, and somewhere where the potential Harris campaign might be targeting as a electoral college rich environment. 16 electoral colleges votes up for grabs here. we saw the speakers. RNC Chairman Michael Watley is from the great state of North Carolina.
He's fabulous.
And he made a wonderful speech earlier.
Oh, yeah, he's fabulous. I mean, he's got to be so proud of his party right now after what he accomplished with the RNC. He has to be so proud because everybody's been talking. I mean, obviously the news was a little overshadowed this week by what happened with the resignation of the campaigning. I don't know about the resignation of the presidency, but certainly the resignation of the campaigning for president by Joe Biden. But what's interesting is that up until that point, really, the whole world was just going on and on about how incredible this convention was and how much unity there was and how much electrifying excitement there was as well.
No question about that, Nikki. And a somber, a different RNC.
Yeah,
certain speeches were scrapped. President Trump breaking his own record.
That's right.
Giving a 90-minute speech.
Oh, boy.
At the RNC acceptance. We have incredible excitement in the Bojangles Coliseum, Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City, and waving to MAGA patriots who are working out. We have people talking to us here, having an exciting time. The music really energizing everyone in the stadium. And moments away from President Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States, becoming, in his journey to become the 47th President of the United States. An exciting day, exciting Wednesday for the MAGA movement here in North Carolina.
It always is. It really is, Bobby. It always is so exciting. So much enthusiasm. And, everybody's getting anxious now because we're getting really close to President Trump. We're just minutes away. I know there's a lot of security today. Everybody's being extra cautious. And what we learned a week and a half ago is he's never going to come out unless it's absolutely clear and safe. And so that's the key. And so we're excited.
Throughout the crowd, saying hi to those. Hey, ladies. We got some ladies on camera there. We got young ladies. We got the retired veterans that were out today. Had a wonderful conversation with several Marines, and everyone pumped up and excited for what's sure to be a very fun event. And we're privileged to bring it to you from Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Look at these happy girls. Look at these gorgeous girls.
We got Trump 2020 USA.
Yes.
Got red, white, and blue. Got exciting ladies out there in the crowd. Excited to be here, clearly.
This is a happy group of people. And, remember something. They got here between 10 and 11 a.m., if not earlier. Right. And it is now officially 6 o'clock. And look how much enthusiasm and how much excitement is here. Everybody that is in this audience is ready. And it's a lot of first-timers today, as we saw on the lines.
We did meet a lot of first-timers, which is always exciting. And it looks like the campaign is in full swing. We have President Trump and Senator J.D. Vance announcing events day by day. It is in full swing right now. And, of course, we don't know what will happen at the Democrat National Convention in Chicago, who will end up being their nominee. Of course, Vice President Kamala Harris trying to build up that support and gather that support from these super delegates who are – the RNC is very different than the DNC in regards to voting power and how the parties actually structure one another.
Look at this beautiful patriot,
she is calling out. Oh, I love this right here.
She's so cute.
Fantastic red, white, and blue.
Look at this outfit.
Love that so much, waving.
I love it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry to interrupt you. She was so excited. She says, please put me on camera. I love President Trump.
That's what's so fun about it. We want to bring you the patriots who are in the crowd, actually having a wonderful time at this event. But as I was saying with the DNC and the RNC, very different processes. So we'll see how that takes place in the coming days. Of course, after this, what's sure to be an electric speech on the part of President Trump, we'll have an address from the Oval Office. President Biden finally addressing the American people after the fact that he dropped out of the race at 146 on Sunday, just several days ago, but then having been out of the limelight, now going back to camera to explain what actually is taking place.
Hey, you mom, muting them for a minute.
Flow is insane. I'm looking to the left, to the right. We're
and
just
you can hear the
away.
energy in the crowd.
I want to show everyone. I don't know if you guys are getting a chance to see, but there's an overflow crowd.
All right, if y'all can hear me.
Entire stadium. Every single
Make sure y'all hit the like button.
is full.
Hit the subscribe
I don't
button.
see one
Smash
empty
that
seat
bell.
in the entire place. And now
Y'all
we're
know
seeing
where we at
standing
today,
room
right?
only as
We
well,
home
with
today.
all
We
of
in
the
Charlotte,
overflow
QC.
inside.
You support
We're gonna be rocking
giving
strong here on
universal
Almondeyez
health care,
78.
Medicare for all to
We're
people
gonna
in
rock
this country
strong on
illegally.
the
I am opposed
podcast
to any
where we are
policy
simulcasting.
that would deny
Make sure
in
y'all
our
come in the
country
room, mind
any
your
human
manners.
being
Like,
from
subscribe, and
access
share.
to public
Hit
health.
the cash
Here,
app.
you support the
Send
Medicare
Almondeyez
for
a
all
couple
bill. I
dollars,
believe it
man.
will totally
Keep
eliminate private
going.
insurance for people out there who like their insurance.
We appreciate y'all,
they
y'all
don't get to keep
regulars.
it.
Let's
Keep
eliminate
rocking
all
with
of
us.
that.
Y'all know how
Boston
we've been
Marathon
doing.
bomber on death
We
row.
thank
People who
y'all.
are convicted of sexual
Y'all
assault. They should be
newbies.
able to vote.
Welcome,
I think we
welcome.
should have that conversation.
Glad
As
to have
President of the
you.
United States,
Glad
I
to
am
have
prepared
you.
to pass
Derek
a green
Joyner's
deal.
in the
Would you ban
house.
offshore drilling?
Salute.
Yes.
What is
What
the
is your
solution
profession,
for
sir?
voters who have
Back
jobs
to
and
you.
interests in the
Well,
fossil
we
fuel
Amanda
industry?
says, let's
Transition
go.
into
You
the
damn
jobs
right.
of the
You about
future.
to get
But would you
crunk up in
support
here.
changing the dietary guide? Reduce
Listen,
red
y'all,
meat
I don't,
specifically? Yes, I would.
I don't
We
know if
have to have a
Almondeyez said
buyback
it
program,
earlier.
and I support a mandatory buyback program.
Look, I was late getting home, so I apologize for getting here. The traffic downtown. They got downtown on.
Ladies and gentlemen, please
During
welcome to the
lockdown.
stage owner of Richard
Tell y'all
Childress
something.
Racing and
The
former
rally
NASCAR
isn't
driver,
downtown.
Richard
The rally is
Childress.
on Independence Boulevard. Which is Independence Boulevard. That's about, normally in normal traffic, about 10, 15 minutes from downtown. Today, look, it'll probably take you about an hour to drive that same distance. Everything is on lock. They are not playing no games. They are not playing no games. Now, I wish it was downtown at the Spectrum Center, which is where the Hornets play. I think that would have been much better for the city. It would have been better for the party. But we're going to take this to a Coliseum
what a
because it's so far
crowd.
away from everything, you know.
Not an empty seat in the house.
It's not a very walkable
I just
place,
spoke with the
right
president
off
back
right
there.
off the highway.
I said,
Hey,
there
we're going to rock it
is
out.
so much energy in this crowd tonight. Just look around
gonna
you.
rock it out.
The energy that we have here tonight.
Since 2024. Yes, sir.
You know,
yes, sir.
North Carolina.
What else we got here?
We are a state, and we're going to show President Donald Trump tonight what we think of him. Bring me out strong, baby. You know, when I speak to a crowd like this, I think back.
Okay, I see
only
big O,
in America.
Right.
Only in America.
No, I'm legally
could a
blind,
kid
so sometimes I struggle.
with a $20 race car and a dream be standing up here tonight. Only in America could that ever happen.
I like that. Okay, you subscribe so we can and drop a link.
How many NASCAR fans do we have here tonight?
Send it to me. If you email me at vbenisrael@gmail.com,
in America.
I'll drop your link.
We stand for our national anthem.
If you're not already
we respect that
flag.
Y'all hear me? Put it in the chat.
Yeah,
I got
you.
Old Glory that's been through so much. We respect her with all heart in NASCAR.
You hear me?
When
Yeah, I
I
hear
go
you.
back,
okay.
thinking about Donald Trump.
Okay, y'all done had the back
in
door. We having some technical
1990,
difficulties, but I'm not stopping the
90s,
stream.
He would come to
But
Daytona.
to answer your question, the reason they did it at Bojangles is because we get more people in there.
Dale Earnhardt fans.
Yeah, I was just thinking about optics. I didn't realize
We
that.
would meet
Bojangles
Dale,
Coliseum
we
I
would
is
know
big
they
enough
wanted it
and
off
then
to
he
the
would
side
go,
where you can't just be
climb up
walking
on
up
the
on
pit
them.
box with me. We'd sit there and
Yeah, I
watch the
guess
first part of the
security is
race.
better for security.
And I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's a feeling that you
I
don't
just would
have,
love to
know what
see
it feels like to be
MAGA
there. Back
and
then, Donald
Republicans
Trump.
flood downtown.
But today,
like you
this
just
year,
the visual of that.
at the Coke
I know,
600
right?
here in
I would-
Charlotte,
It would have been
President
good for
Trump came
economics. Y'all know
and
my barbershop is
visited us
downtown.
all
Shout
as
out
a
to
race
Knights and
fan
Razor.
and as a
No
presidential
grease.
candidate.
We got a Midnight Diner downtown. They could have used that.
And
But,
each
you know,
year at the
we'll
Coke
see.
Well, them people
600,
ain't trust.
we put a fallen soldiers
Well, they
on
said
each
some
one
of
of
them
the
standing in
cars.
lines to the clock.
And that means the
That's what I'm saying. A lot of them got here last
families
night
were
too.
there. President
They had
Trump
time.
came there,
Hey, Jordan,
and he
salutes
came
me,
there
Jordan.
early and met
That's right.
every one of those
What is your
Gold Star
profession?
families. And
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you, that's Donald Trump. our president.
Got the Spartans in the house. Who else is in the house? Obviously, Eric Jordan is in the house.
Donald Trump loves our military. You look and see him with our military, you see it in his eyes. Our military is beat down under this administration. He will bring our military back to where it needs to be, and that's what we got to have.
Reaction.
You know, spending some time with President Trump, hearing him speak, look him in the eyes. That is a man that loves America. One of the greatest pictures is him hugging the flag, the United States flag. And again, you've heard him say it, and many people say it. He will make America great again. I promise you. You know, your average families
saying my name correctly, sir.
Are suffering,
I
living
really appreciate
paycheck to paycheck. The grocery stores,
I hate when y'all call
gasoline,
me
just
G.
imagine
Damn,
where
it's
it's
just so
gone since this
long.
administration's been there. President Trump will look after the
Then
average
Israel,
worker
not
in
the
America, I promise you. One other thing, y'all didn't come to hear me speak,
about
but I got to
Osama
tell
bin
you these
Laden.
two or
You
three
wouldn't say
things.
Osama bin.
One
You say
thing that we all cherish so much is our Second Amendment.
structure. Trump 24 in the house.
This administration wants to take our firearms.
Like I
They
said, I'm
want
just,
to
keep y'all
abolish the
engaged.
Second
You know, we
Amendment
gotta get this chat
and leave
crunk,
us
man.
without any
You gotta get
protection
it
for our
crunk. And make
families.
sure y'all subscribe if you're over here on the People's Podcast.
And Donald
Go over
Trump,
to
our
Almondeyez
47th
78 and
president,
subscribe.
will not let that happen. I
If you're
promise.
on Almondeyez 78, go to the People's Podcast and subscribe. Make sure
You
y'all
know,
subscribe both
remember, only in America is
Very
our freedom.
important. We appreciate
Freedom
it. We don't
doesn't
ask for
come
much.
free. That
We don't
word in
ask
front
for
of
much.
it. Someone's
Harmonize
paid
don't
the
ask for
price.
nothing.
And
I ask
also,
y'all every now and then for
President
$2
Trump
from
will
Pure
protect our freedom. I
Tea
promise
Farm.
you.
We don't really ask y'all for much based on the value we've been giving y'all, especially the last
At
month.
this time,
We're in the game in July.
I'd like to introduce my friend
Y'all
and
don't
a friend
know?
to every
Well, y'all
one of
better
you in
spread
here
away.
tonight. He loves you, all of you. He is
We're gonna
probably
keep you up to date on
one of the bravest, most
current
courageous
affairs as well.
men I have ever met
send
in my
them out
life.
into the back channels for
And
other
on
breaking
November the
news while this
7th,
is
we
going on.
all
So
have to get
have
out and
no
vote.
fear. You in a good
And
Hello,
vote
Justin.
for
Welcome.
my friend, President Donald Trump.
Yeah, whatever your political view is your political view. And we're not going to hold it against you because you're supporting one candidate or another. We will be covering the Democratic National Convention the same way.
And we will have coverage of Kamala's speech today at the what is the Zeta Phi Beta convention. So don't worry, we got the information for you. Don't worry about it. It's coming.
They allowing her to speak?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, they
Thank
let her
you,
speak.
Richard.
Wow, that's some surprise.
Yeah, we're gonna get into
Thank
that.
you, Richard's. He's one hell of a man. Thank you, Richard. Great
Wow.
honor to be introduced by you, and thank you to a place called North Carolina.
Yeah, we ain't gonna let nothing happen to you. Don't worry about it.
And I have these incredible women from North Carolina right over there. And they've been to, I shouldn't tell you, 129 different rallies. Can you believe it? Look.
Wow.
Look how great they look. And their husbands love them. I don't know how the husbands do this. They travel all over, and finally we have one in North Carolina, nice and easy. It's nice and easy for you. No, they're incredible people. 129 rallies, it's great. But it's really tremendous to be back in this beautiful state with thousands and thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots, which is what you are. This is a nice arena. How about the people outside that can't get in? That's a lot of people too. Would anybody like to give up your seat? Would anybody? You're just not generous people. As you know, 3 days ago, we officially defeated the worst president in the history of our country, crooked Joe Biden. He quit because he was losing so badly in the polls. He was down in every single poll and down by a lot, so he quit. But really, what happened was the leaders of the Democrat Party, in a very undemocratic move, the bosses, they said, either you get out or we're going to throw you out using the 25th Amendment. That's what happened. You know that.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, well, you know that. That's what happens. That's what happens. These are nasty people, the Democrats. So we better beat them or we're not going to have a country left. You're not going to have a country left. So now we have a new victim to defeat. Lion Kamala Harris. Lion. L-Y-I-N apostrophe.
Yeah, I'll keep that.
Damn.
The most incompetent and far left vice president in American history. By the way, they did a poll. She was rated the worst vice president in history. I've never seen that poll before, but that's the poll.
Me neither. I hope the people not still standing outside.
Together we will win North Carolina in an epic landslide. We're way ahead in the polls. And we will take back that beautiful White House, and we will very simply make America great again.
Hi, Revolution.
For 3.5 years, Lion Kamala Harris has been the ultra-liberal driving force behind every single Biden catastrophe. She is a radical left lunatic who will destroy our country. If she ever gets the chance to get into office, we're not going to let that happen. You know, I was supposed to be nice. They say something happened to me when I got shot. I became nice. And when you're dealing with these people, they're very dangerous people. When you're dealing with them, you can't be too nice. You really can't be. So if you don't mind, I'm not going to be nice. Is that okay? You want me to be nice? Thank you.
Tommy, he never said he wouldn't debate
Kamala
her. He said
Harris
he'd be
is
happy
the
to
most
debate her.
liberal elected politician in American history. Did you know that? She's an ultra-liberal politician.
Why would he
She's
debate her? He's
absolutely
already
terrible.
winning.
She's, as you know, more liberal than Bernie
Well, I mean,
Sanders.
next
Can
on
you
the
believe
schedules
it?
in
She's rated
September, so.
far more
I'm
liberal
just
than
saying,
Bernie
like, it
Sanders.
only can help her.
And she's now trying to get
It
rid of
don't
her
help
record,
him.
but she can't. She's going out and saying things that she doesn't believe. And if she ever got in, she'd destroy this country so fast.
He really don't have
So
a
she
choice.
was the
huh?
border
What are you talking about?
czar, but she never went to the border, right?
Tammy, excuse me. He
She
ain't got a
never. She
choice.
was appointed by this horrible president, this horrible guy. How this guy got to be president in his basement.
We already
stayed in
debated
his
her
basement.
ass in the past. Y'all forget
And we did a lot
2015?
better the second time than we
How
did the first.
stupid
How this
she
guy
looked
got
up
to
there
be
on that
president, what they've
stage,
done
and why
to this
nobody
country
voted
in
for her?
3.5 years, and we're
Y'all
going to
got
turn it
short
around. But
memories,
what
man.
they've done to our country is unthinkable. As borders are, Kamala threw open our borders and allowed 20 million illegal aliens to stampede into our country from all over the world. As vice president, she cast the tie-breaking votes that created the worst inflation in a half a century, decimating middle-class families and hurting very badly, as you know, all people in North Carolina. And by the way, Laura says hello. Laura, do we love Laura? How good is Laura?
Yes, yes. I'm sorry,
She
y'all, but I was
is
impressed with her at the convention. That's just the truth.
She has done a tremendous job. You know, I'm saying it now because if I forget
That's
it
Wilmington,
later on,
yes.
they'll
Wilmington,
say
North
he's
Carolina.
cognitively challenged. I don't want to be cognitively, no, but I want to thank her because she's unbelievable. She loves it. I'll introduce Michael in a couple of minutes, but I want to remember to introduce Laura. She's been a fantastic daughter-in-law and wife to Eric. And she happened to name her one beautiful daughter, you know what? Carolina.
Nah, so deep.
Carolina. I said, which one? Which Carolina? She said, well, North, of course. No, let's call them both. Do you mind if I call them both? They both
Why
been
we
great,
asked her, why
frankly.
don't he talk
And when
about
Kamala
something he
Harris was
just
sent to Europe
started
to deter Russia, what a
paid
joke that was. From
2 years
attacking
now.
Ukraine, how did that work out? Russia answered by launching the invasion just 5 days after she left. Putin laughed at her like she was nothing. She is nothing. She's going to baby. She's so bad for us. Everything Kamala touches turns into a total disaster. She's destroyed San Francisco with her policies. Check out San Francisco. 20 years ago, it was the greatest city in our country. Today, it's not a livable city. She'll destroy our country if she's elected, so we won't let her be elected. We can't let that happen. Unbelievably, despite all of the damage she's caused, radical liberal Kamala Harris now wants a promotion to deliver 4 more years of chaos. We've had the worst 4 years. You know, I say about Biden, if you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of our country, added them up, they won't have done the damage that crooked Joe Biden
I mean,
has done.
Tammy, you did you sneak over here or something? Why you all
But
upset
this
about these
November, the American
about the
people
border?
are going to tell her, no thanks, Kamala. You've done a terrible job. You've been terrible at everything you've done. You're ultra liberal.
You
And we
upset
don't
he gonna
want
close
you
it
here.
off?
We don't want you anywhere. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
Damn, Eric ain't playing with y'all today.
And yet the fake news, which a month ago said she was incompetent, said she was a stiff, just a dopey stiff, the worst. Nobody talked to her. She was firing her staff left and right. The
Oh,
staff
okay,
hates her.
okay.
Oh, wait till you see the stories that are going to come out about her staff. Oh, if that were me, they'd be all over the place.
Yeah,
But the
I've been
fake
hearing
news
it.
tries to cover her up. But wait till you see, she was the worst with the staff of anybody. But the fake news is talking about lying
Now, something about
Kamala
these black
as
women
if
can't
she's
keep
the
their staff
savior of
together.
our
I don't know what it
country.
is.
That she's so brave. I've never seen a turnaround like this. 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, she was the worst politician in America. Now they say, isn't it amazing? Look at her. She's so beautiful. She's so magnificent. She has a crowd of 1,000 people the other day. And the fake news, and they worked hard to get that crowd. We have crowds of 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 people. And the fake news said, oh, her crowd was amazing. It was amazing. You see it? The other day, she had maybe 1,000 people. I doubt it. They worked their asses off to get those people to go, and I wonder what they gave up.
What does the 2025 project have to do
They
with
said,
Trump?
oh, this is
Because that is not Trump.
It
He had nothing to do with that.
I don't think she's going to have a lot of momentum after this speech.
Actually, when they started writing that, Trump was still a Democrat.
We're telling you the facts. I'm just giving you the facts. But they said it was such a big crowd, such a beautiful crowd. They never mention our crowds. Like this crowd. Look at this crowd.
We have looked at it. That's why we're saying what we're saying to you. Trump is actually.
You could multiply her crowds times 20 and 30, and she wouldn't get what we get. 107,000 people recently in New Jersey. We might win New Jersey. We're up in New Jersey.
Oh, that was way before looking at it. Yeah. My bad, man.
82,000 in South Carolina. 82,000. And by the way, we would have had a number here that would have been through the roof. But, you know, we are confined. As beautiful as this arena is, I just met the owner. He said it's an all-time record. Because, you know, they have basketball, hockey. But
who's never done
with basketball, hockey, you can't fill up the floors, right? So we set the all-time record, and he's a very nice gentleman.
Good point,
we set the all-time record. And if this thing were twice as large, it would be filled up with the people outside. 68,000 people in the great state of Alabama. 68,000.
No, I'm not cool with that, Rafa.
And then we did one in the South Bronx, and that can be a rough place. But we did one, and it was like a fest. This was an amazing thing. We had 25,000 people in the South Bronx. Amazing. And if I ever had a crowd
are you okay
Kamala,
with being
assuming
evicted?
she had 2,000,
not having no money,
which I don't
runaway
understand.
inflation.
But if I ever had a crowd, they'd do headline stories.
You okay
Trump
with
is
those
over. It's all over. It's not working.
You know, I don't
for him
really deal with the
anymore.
police.
They
I don't have no
never
reason to deal with the
mention
police, so that
I
shit
tell
really
those,
ain't got
all
nothing to
those
do with me.
cameras back there.
Exactly.
Look. And I always say, but they never do it, turn the cameras around to show them the crowd, but they never do it. They never do it.
So they in there.
They never want to do it.
Mention what at the RNC? Again, remember I told you to use complete sentences because we don't know what you are thinking.
So they up in Bojangles. Believe that.
They just don't want to do it.
Okay, Tammy, you're going to need to go back and watch the RNC. He gave you a whole timeline of what he going to do as president.
They don't want to do it. I don't know why. Even the semi-friendly cameras, they don't turn. You know, I used to think
we got supply chain issues because of Joe.
Steel, you can't turn.
Ain't got nothing to do with Trump.
In 2015, it started right from the beginning, these big crowds. But now I have to tell you, there's more spirit now. We won in 2016. We did much better in 2020, but it was rigged. It was rigged. But this is bigger than 2020. This is bigger than 2016. And I think the reason is you like me a lot, but you know what you really like? When you look at the incompetent administration that we have with the inflation, with the Afghanistan, with all of the things they've done wrong.
During COVID, people was wanting to work.
The borders
but you know, once you got you got to get the jab to go back to work.
When you look at how bad they are, you say,
not that there was
I like Trump, but now I really like Trump because we don't want to go back. Front row Joes.
Yeah, that wasn't Trump.
Front row Joes. You know,
and all of the things you're bringing up,
they've been to 201.
Why are you voting for Harris?
I tell you that North Carolina,
because she did what?
They beat you 201, and they were to a rough one.
Right, that's democracy.
It was a rough one. I saw them; they were sitting in the front row, and things were happening that weren't too nice. Right? Amazing, right? But they were there, and they didn't move. You know, amazing. Nobody moved. when a bullet goes off, this freak thing, but a bullet goes off, crowds always run. They run. They call
Yeah,
it a
corporate
stampede.
greed is corporate Democrats.
And we had 55,000 people. Nobody ran. You could see the small group we had behind.
Right, and I feel you, Amanda, but you never should have been in that position.
You could see the group behind because the camera was on. We had a tremendous, like hundreds of
First
people.
of all, ain't
from the
nobody
press.
funding
We
the
had cameras going
HBCUs.
on.
Let's pay attention,
And,
Rafa.
you
That's
could
one of
see
the damn
behind
problems.
me, they weren't. They were like this. How about the guy right behind me in the black with the green hat? And he's looking.
Joe
like
took
this.
all that money back.
That guy
Exactly.
I want to
Both
meet him.
sides.
But they had a lot of guys like that back then. But did you see him? They've only played that clip about 5,000 times. They see it every day. It's over and over. But you see how brave. Normally, when something like that happens,
Why, when it's time for the
everybody but
Democrats to
Richard
take
will leave.
responsibility,
Richard will
is it
stay.
both sides?
He's a tough cookie. But no, everybody
We gonna see.
scrambles
We
and
got
runs.
about what? 2
Nobody
weeks?
ran. Same thing with the group out
We gonna
front.
see.
The group out front was the big group. Thousands and thousands of people. Nobody left.
Shout out
They
to
just
Amanda.
stood there watching because they saw that I was in trouble. Either I was in trouble
Yeah,
or
he
something
probably
was
will, Red.
happening because I had a lot of blood on my hand. I checked out. I said, "Oh, gee, what's this?" But no, they saw that. And when I went down, they saw that, and nobody left. It was like the whole thing is like a big love fest. Let's face it. It's a whole
Again, now
thing.
you use the word.
It's amazing. We love you, man. We love you. We love you. We love you. That was a horrible thing. That was a rough thing. And say what you want, the Secret Service, the ones on this day, on the dais, these guys right here, the tough cookies, they ran.
I wouldn't agree.
Bullets were flying.
Both sides are corrupt.
Bullets
as
were
hell.
flying, and they were
I
running
would
right
agree
at
that
me.
there's corruption on
And it was
both
a
sides.
rough, horrible
It's corruption
time.
everywhere.
And they said, "Sir, we have a stretcher for you." I said,
Ain't
"You're not
nobody
with
more
me. I'm
corrupt
not
than the
getting
black
on a
churches. I
stretcher."
don't say a
They had
damn
a
thing to them.
stretcher. I said, "That's not going to look very good if I get carried out on a stretcher." Hello, everybody. Thank you, everybody. He said, "I'm not
Damn,
getting.
he
Where are
clowning.
my shoes? My shoes got knocked off. They tackled me so damn hard."
They did kind of slam his ass down.
But it was a terrible thing in so many ways. And as you know, we lost somebody who was fantastic, Corey. Fantastic.
Yeah. So I don't want to hear no more
His
about that
family
being
is
staged, because how you
fantastic.
stage somebody losing their life.
Yeah, right.
And two other great people. These are great people. I got to know their families a little bit. And, the public has really been generous to them, too. They opened up their
He
hearts.
got that
to-
money up for them, though. I
wouldn't
know
tell you
that.
The numbers are so incredible. But they opened up their hearts to the three of
I
them.
think they
and,
said the
these two
last
were hurt
reading
very
was,
badly, but they're both
I think,
now in
right at
pretty
7
good
million.
shape. They'll soon be in very
Black
good
women
shape.
raised
So-
all that money for Kamala.
But-
Ask them how much money they've spent on this.
But I just looked down here at Front Row Joe's, and it just
30
reminded
years.
me of that incident
I'll
a week
wait.
and a half ago, right? You were right there watching it. You saw it. And you guys, by the
Not
way,
a
weren't
goddamn
moving
dime.
either. I saw you. You didn't
Right, but
move.
even
You were
with
just-
that, what,
they were
80
standing
something
just
million
like they're
dollars they
standing
raised
right
for
now. They
Kamala,
were
she
standing-
still ain't got enough to be
they
trying to go toe to
were,
toe with
they're
Trump.
great. They're great.
Yeah, I know.
And,
He
sad,
seems like he
such
got a
such a distressed,
unlimited
sick world,
bank
but,
account to
it could
work
be
with.
caused when they
Well,
call
you know,
a
black
threat
women
to
always like to brag
democracy.
about
You
how
never
much
know
money
what
they
causes
spent
it.
on
I'm
some
a threat
shit.
to they're a threat to democracy.
Welcome,
They're a
Hardy.
threat
How are
to-
you?
They're a threat to our country, period.
We gonna start
But-
talking. Hold on.
That was some time we had. That was some rough time, but it was incredible. The people I got to know through that, I got to know some unbelievable
like that
and
picture,
really
Hardy.
brave people. But the next time they show that clip, which will be as soon as you get home, they'll show it about 30 times. They show it every day over and over. But watch the people behind. They always stampede. If a bullet goes off or something happens at a soccer stadium or a stadium, and we had more people than most of those stadiums would have, everyone runs. Nobody ran. They stayed, and you have to look. The one guy, he just was so angry. He's looking. I gotta meet him. There's something about brave people that I love, right? People that love our country. He's out there. He's like up there. No, they're great. They're great people. And we had a great convention. We had a convention that broke all television ratings. How good was the Hulkster, right? Oh. And Kid Rock called. He wanted to be a part. He was fantastic. But they were all fantastic. It was the greatest. It was just a flawless convention. It was great. And
I have to say
the television ratings were record-setting ratings. You all read that. They were record-setting ratings, and it was just an honor. The stadium was beautiful. Milwaukee was beautiful. Wisconsin's promised me they're all going to vote for me now because we put $250 million into their economy. So we're going to win the great state of Wisconsin.
Jessica, it's hot as
But
shit down
Milwaukee
here.
was
I
great.
don't
They
know,
did a
baby,
great
you wanna
job.
be
The
out here
stadium
right
is
now.
new.
Trying to
But I
tell
know
They
what you
built it
mean.
for the basketball team, which is excellent. You know the Greek, right? The Greek. He's a good player,
I don't
but
know
they
where
built
he's
it
from,
for
but you don't know about
the
the
team,
baby.
and it was like new. And it was one of the most, I think it was the greatest. I really believe it couldn't have been better. It was the greatest convention that anyone's seen thus far, Republican or Democrat. But getting back to a subject called Kamala, who's the worst. You know, I ask you this question because this has never happened before. So Biden's running. I wouldn't say his debate performance was one of the best, right? Do you agree? That's where it all started with the debate. The downfall started that night with the debate. The debate was like, that was
We
a rough
streamed that
debate.
here. Anybody
He
want
said,
to go
"Yo, I
back and
had
take a
bad
look?
night." No, he had a bad night. He had a bad everything. He had a very bad night. But it started really with the debate. It was all, you know, the game was up. They say the jig was up. And it was indeed up. But it started with that. And then it only got worse. And we were leading him by 11, 12, 14, 15 points. And then he said,
How
Now,
dare
which
you,
is it?
Red
Now,
Illusion?
come on, sir.
How dare you, Red Illusion, to insult wine moms like that?
You're getting out. They said, "You're getting out. You're getting killed in the polls. You can't win." You saw that. You can't win. You're getting killed. So now they bring in this one who's worse than him. She's worse than him because he's a fake liberal. You know, he wasn't that liberal. He was fake. She's a real liberal. She really is a real liberal. She's much worse than him. Now, if we start beating her in the polls by 10 or 15 points, are they going to bring in a third candidate? It's like, you know, Trump is killing this guy. Oh, out.
I Judge Joe Brown. Okay.
Out.
Sir, make sure you
And
drop
then
a
maybe
link
at some
to
point they get one right, but when will that start?
Well, we appreciate you very much. We appreciate you very much.
And you know, the guy had 14 million votes. So much for democracy. You know, they talk about democracy. He had 14 million votes, and they said, we're going to give it to somebody with no votes. She had no votes. In addition to her horrendous record as vice president, Kamala Harris has also been caught red-handed perpetrating the biggest scandal in American political history. For 3.5 years, Harris shamelessly lied to the public to cover up Joe Biden's mental unfitness, claiming that Crooked Joe was at the absolute top of his game. I don't think so. I don't think
Judge
so.
Joe Brown
I wish
rocks
him
with
well,
Trump
but I
right
don't
now,
like
so-
him. He's not a nice person.
Do what you say, V?
I mean, he's not
Judge
a nice
Joe Brown
person.
been rocking with Trump.
He's trying to put me in jail.
Oh,
Why would
yes.
I like
He
him,
was
right?
dogging
It's the first
Kamala
time.
last night. When I
Oh,
tell
first
you,
time. And she's the one behind it. And she's got a new line, you know. She's going, I'm the prosecutor. She's one of the worst prosecutors in history. She destroyed
It's
San
never been a
Francisco.
democracy. It's a republic.
I'm the prosecutor, and he's the convicted felon or something. A radical left judge in an area where every one of these cases, every one of them is brought by them. So think of it. They get me to that position, and then their campaign says, I'm the prosecutor, and he is the convicted felon. That's their campaign. I don't think people are going to buy it. And we won our big case. You know, we won the case in Florida. That was that big one. We won that one. And I got out by beating their Justice Department. And he got out of the same case, except his was far different because he had 50 years of documents, right? He got out by being incompetent. The prosecutor said he had no memory. He basically said he's incompetent, so he shouldn't stand trial. Can you imagine? He can be president, But he can't stand trial. What's that about?
Gotta love it.
But no, but it was all headed up by her because she's a prosecutor, a really bad one. If Kamala will lie to you so brazenly about Joe Biden's mental incapacity, then she will lie to you about anything. She can never, ever be trusted. She can't be trusted. And just like crooked Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is unfit to lead. She's unfit to lead. She'll destroy our country in a year. This country will be destroyed. A vote for Kamala is a vote for 4 more years of dishonesty, incompetence, weakness, and failure. Other than that, she's doing an excellent job.
Damn, sir.
A vote for Trump Vance. How do you like it?
Damn.
How do you like it?
Yo, I swear. Yo, what?
J.D. Vance. How do you like him?
I don't know. I still don't know about him
A
yet.
vote for Trump Vance administration is a vote to restore leadership, competence, common sense, and
Wait.
strength back to the Oval Office like we had it just 3.5 years ago. If Kamala Harris gets in, she would be the most radical far-left extremist ever to occupy the White House ×10. There's never been a lunatic like this in the White House, and we've had some bad ones. But the worst one is Joe, actually. As a senator, Harris was ranked the #1 most left-wing Democrat in the Senate. Think of that. She's ranked the #1. That's not what this country wants. She makes Bernie look like a moderate. You know, he looks like Bernie Sanders. He's actually quite moderate by comparison.
Yo, Bernie has some good
These
ideas,
are some
though.
of her crazy liberal record. Kamala Harris co-sponsored Bernie Sanders' $32 trillion plan for a socialist takeover of the entire U.S. health system, which will be a disaster and will bankrupt Medicare and Social Security. They're gone. And remember, Social Security is going to be gone anywhere if we're not elected, because they're putting all of these millions of people that are pouring into our country, they're putting them into Social Security, Medicare, schools, hospitals. And we all have a big heart, but some of those people are tough, from prisons, from mental institutions, terrorists. When asked if her plan would outlaw private health insurance for 180 million Americans, Kamala replied, "Let's just eliminate all of it." That's all she said. We'll eliminate all. That's nice. Thank you very much, Kamala. She endorsed free taxpayer-funded government health care for all illegal aliens, everybody that walks into our country that's illegal. This is why they come. When these stupid people, they're stupid, low IQ people, when they say, we're going to give you health care, we're going to give you everything, they come. You're not going to say, we're going to give you all of these things. They're going to come, even if they're fine in their country. And people are being killed in the caravans, especially women. They're dying on the way up. It's horrible. It's horrible. You have to see the real number. She co-sponsored the $100 trillion Green New scam with the goal of completely abolishing the oil, coal, and natural gas industries, which would reduce the United States to a third world country. No more oil, no more gasoline. Good luck with your electric car that goes for about 45 minutes before you have to get it. You know, someplace like in the Midwest, did you see? They built 8 chargers. You know, a charge, like that's sort of like the equivalent of a gas pump. They built 8 chargers for $9 billion.
The man who's already done the job and done it well is not qualified. Do you think
we were going to charge up the entire country for the electric car? If we were going to charge up, it would cost $5 trillion. That's more money than we would have. We would have to file for bankruptcy. And they don't care. They say, let's do it anyway. She said that a 70 to 80% tax hike is, quote, a bold idea that should be discussed. She wants an 80%. You know, I gave you the largest tax cuts in history. She wants to take them away and increase your taxes. I don't think you're going to be too happy. Kamala publicly boasted, quote, "There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." She wants no fracking. Now that pertains to Pennsylvania, Texas, it pertains Oklahoma. It pertains to a lot of other places more so than you, but it pertains to you where your wallet, because you're going to be paying a lot of money. You're going to be paying so much. You're going to say, bring back Trump, please, please, please bring back Trump. We want Trump. We want some common sense, please. She supports mandatory gun confiscation to rip firearms out of the hands of millions of law-abiding gun owners. She wants to take away your Second Amendment, which we need. Lion Kamala is also a total radical on a word called, do you know this, right? A word called what? Abortion. She's a radical, crazy person. When you compare my position on abortion to that of Kamala Harris, my position is 8 points higher in the polls, and that's because she is so radical. She wants abortions in the 8th and 9th month of pregnancy. That's fine with her, right up until birth, and even after birth, the execution of a baby, because that's not abortion, that's the execution
First off,
of
she
a
shouldn't
baby.
have no
You remember
perspective
the
on abortion
governor,
because she ain't
you
got no
remember
kids.
the
In all
former
fairness,
governor, the current governor is excellent. The former governor of
He said that
Virginia,
before.
he said, yes,
I'll pull
we
it back.
may have the baby.
But
and
she
then
can
we
tell you how
decide
not to
with
get
the mother
pregnant,
what
so
to
y'all
do
might well
with the
listen to
baby.
that.
This is after the
You
baby
ain't got to
is
worry about
born
that.
now. She supports that. She supports taxpayer funds to pay for abortion for any reason whatsoever. She even voted against legislation that would require medical providers to give care to babies born alive after an attempted abortion. Think of that one.
And that's fucked
Whereas
up.
our position is that abortion is now back to the states. You know, for 52 years, they've wanted to bring, it's Roe v. Wade. They wanted to bring it back to the states. It wasn't about how many weeks and how many, everybody wanted it. Every legal scholar, every
What video
Democrat,
is that?
every
Really, man? Can
Republican,
you please
liberals, conservatives,
complete
they
sentence?
wanted it
I'm
brought
about to
back
get
to
on
the
my nerves.
states. And
I'm trying to
because
be
we
nice.
had a very brave
Video
6
is
people on the
banned.
Supreme Court of the United
Now,
States, so
what
they
are
were
you
very
talking-
brave. After 52 years, they allowed it, but everybody wanted it.
We
And
got
they were
people
brave
chatting
to
from
do it,
two
and
different
now
channels,
it's up to
man.
the will of the people in each state, and it's happening in Ohio. They voted, and frankly, it came out to be more of a liberal policy, but they voted, and it's getting back. In Kansas, you saw what happened there, somewhat of a liberal policy. Texas goes, and Alabama goes, and other states, but it's all being voted on by the states. It's back in the hands of the people, and the state returns the age-old question to where it belongs, and it belongs with the people, and it belongs over time. And you see what's happening, and you see how it's working
Nah,
out.
dude,
Like
silly all
Ronald
the-
Reagan, very importantly.
I'll just
I happen to
stream of
support. You
consciousness.
have to go with your heart, but I
No
happen
regard
to
to
support
what
the
you're
3
typing, and you gotta try
exceptions:
to
rape,
decipher it yourself.
incest, and the life of the mother. I think that's the way. But follow your heart. But you also have to remember, you have to get elected. You have to remember, because we have elections, and elections are about a lot of other things too that are very important, but you have to get elected. But Ronald Reagan was for that. I was for that, the 3 exceptions. And as Vice President, Kamala Harris cast the tie-breaking vote to cut, as you know, Medicare by $273 billion. She cast a vote to cut Medicare. Nobody knows that. She doesn't want people to know that. Now what she's doing is she's running away from Israel. She refuses to go to Bibi Netanyahu is in Washington. She refuses to be there. Even if you're against Israel or you're against
Zach, you never
the Jewish
will.
people,
If it has
show
to be
up and
explained
listen
you through
to
this rally,
the concept.
you
But
never
she's
will.
totally against the Jewish people. And it amazes me how Jewish people will vote for the Democrats when they're being treated so disrespectfully and badly. It amazes me. It's shocking. I don't get it. I don't get it. Kamala even wants to pass laws to outlaw red meat to stop climate change. And you know what that means? That means no more cows. You know, this is serious. No, this means no more cows. I guess eventually she's going to mean no more people, right? No more people. So if you want socialist health care, nation-wrecking inflation, the death of American energy, and a lying radical left liberal San Francisco extremist as your commander-in-chief, then Kamala Harris is your candidate. She's the one for you. Just like she destroyed San Francisco, she will destroy our entire country. And let me tell you, it's in pretty bad shape right now anyway. What they've done in 3.5 years, especially, I mean, think of Afghanistan, the most
Dr.
embarrassing
Robert, please take your
moment,
caps off.
day in the history of our country. We got out at a weakness. We were going to get out, but we were going to get out of strength and dignity. We were going to get out. They left, $85 billion worth of brand new equipment, brand new, beautiful military equipment. I rebuilt the military. They got equipment that I bought, and they left it in Afghanistan. And you know that Afghanistan now, the Taliban, Afghanistan is the second or third largest seller of military equipment in the world. They're taking this gorgeous stuff and they're selling it, and they're making a fortune because they don't need 700,000 rifles and guns. They don't need 77,000 trucks and cars. Many of them are built with all steel bottoms. They're all guarded up for the horrible bombs that they had to endure. They're all very expensive. These are very expensive things. And they're selling them now because they just need a tiny fraction of what they were left. We were going to take it all out. We were going to keep Bagram, the big air base. We had 13 soldiers killed. We had 47 soldiers horribly, horribly hurt. No legs, no arms. Nobody ever talks about them. They talk about the 13 dead. They never talk about the 47 that have been so horribly hurt. I mean, just, it's so bad. It's so horrible to see. But 47 is an important number. Maybe there's something to it. 47, that's an important number. And basically, she's a very bad person, and she shouldn't be running for president. She is a threat to democracy, a true threat to democracy. She'll destroy our nation. But if you want no inflation, low gas prices, how about $1.87? And we had it actually lower than that. If you want energy independence, and even now energy dominance, we're going to be dominant. You have to see the chart. And my favorite chart of all, of course, some of you would understand what I mean, was the immigration chart. Because I looked over and I said, look at that chart. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's my all-time favorite chart. Man, am I lucky to show that chart? I said, let me see that chart. Let me see that chart. Pull it down.
Really don't. I mean, again, some of y'all just don't know what you're talking about. So you really shouldn't post anything.
That was it.
Cost of living for
That's my all-time favorite chart. It showed how great we did on immigration.
Talking about San Francisco.
My last week in office, we had the lowest number of illegal aliens that we ever had coming across our border. I was very proud of the chart. You see it go like this, and then it goes like a skyrocket. But get that, I like it for other reasons too. I will sleep with that chart for the rest of my life. But if you want the greatest economy in history again, and freedom, if you want freedom, real freedom, because we're going in a very bad direction, then you must vote for a gentleman named, perhaps you've heard of him, Donald J. Trump. Perhaps you've heard of him.
All right, Dr. Robert, last chance.
Gotta get out there.
Stop the caps.
Kamala Harris's California socialism would kill the American dream forever. You don't hear about the American dream anymore. We're going to bring back the American dream for our children.
You know how stupid it is to say I was born and raised to understand the Inflation Act?
Under Trump Vance administration, and he's terrific. By the way, he's been incredible.
Stop talking, man.
He wrote
and
the
you
great
think
book on
$5,500 is
workers,
cost of living in San
being
Francisco?
horribly taken advantage of.
That's
Became
60
a movie,
what?
big best-selling book.
Little over
Became
$60,000 a year.
A great movie, actually.
Are you
I mean, he's
crazy?
a great guy. Went to Yale
Think
Law
before you
School without any connections because his father passed away and his mother had some difficulty. And you get into Yale without any connections, that's pretty good. And he was a great student. Then he met his beautiful wife at Yale, two smart people. It's really an amazing story. Amazing. Became a senator from the great state of Ohio. Ohio loves him. So
he laid out his
he's
plan
exactly
for the next
what we
4
want.
years at the RNC.
And he's a
You
very
should go back
common
and
sense
watch it.
guy. But we'll bring back that American dream bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Bigger, better, and stronger. And remember, there's no issue on which Kamala has been more unhinged than her wild pursuit of open borders. She's crazy. She's crazy. Who could want open borders? Who could want that? It's like, who could ever want men playing in
$5,500
women's
is not
sports
costly
in a
for
much
California.
smaller way? Did you see a beautiful woman volleyball player 2 weeks ago got badly hurt? I didn't know you could get hurt in volleyball, but when the ball comes back at you at 140
Right, Dr.
miles
Robert,
an
thank
hour,
you.
I guess that can hurt. Got knocked out.
Appreciate it.
But playing with a man who
Thank you for your
transitioned
cooperation, citizen.
and transition. And she was a top player. She said, "I've never seen a ball come at me like that. I played volleyball for a long time since I'm a little girl. I've never seen a ball, Richard."
Cause you out there tussling with them
Richard,
men,
she
girl.
said, "I've never seen a ball come." What about race car
That's why
drivers?
you ain't never
wanna
seen
have a
it.
couple of transitioned race car drivers? Maybe that's okay. Actually, that could work. That could work. I have a good one for you I'd like to recommend.
Thank you, Mr. Barr.
That could work, maybe. But she said, "I've never
Be
seen a ball
opposed.
come," or the weightlifting records. You see what's
Thank you for
happening
dropping
there?
that.
For 18 years, they had a record. 18 years. A quarter of an ounce and a quarter of an ounce on the barbells, right? A quarter of an ounce, little tiny thing. And she goes, Olympic tryouts. Mom and dad are in the front. And I hate to do it. You know, my wife says it's so unpresidential when you do that. Can you believe
Hey,
it?
again, R. Moore, he's already
I
laid
used
out
to
his
give it a
plan
big
to
push, but now I'm
had a whole
Yes, I just said.
5 whole
I
days
know
to
I'm
watch
embarrassed to do it. She
to
said,
find out what the plan
"Darling, your
was.
speech
This
was
ain't the
wonderful,
time
but
for this."
please do stop with the weightlifting and the swimming. It's so unpresidential. You know, she's a class act. But I said, but people
Harris
like it.
couldn't win a
People
primary
like it.
in her own
She
state.
looked good 2 weeks ago coming into that arena, right? Melania. She's a class act. Yeah, turn off your cameras for a second, okay? Boy, that's a lot of cameras. Man. No, they get it up and they can't quit do it. Oh. Mom, I'm sorry, Mom. And a guy comes out for the tryouts. He comes out. "Have you lifted before?" No, haven't really tried it. Oh. We'll give it a
Mike
shot.
Pillow ad limo.
Bing bong.
I'm laughing my ass.
Right?
Yeah.
How crazy is it?
It is Mr. Mike Pillow
Or the
ad
swimmers, the All-American swimmer. She's getting ready. She's going to break the record. It stood for 12 years. And she's beautiful, beautiful, strong. And she looks left and she sees all the girls she's grown up with. Because as Richard will tell you, those great, talented people, like Richard wanted to drive race cars more than anything else. But he didn't quite have the courage to put that pedal to the floor like a couple of your competitors that we know so well, right? So instead he said, "Hell, I'm going to own the cars and I'm going to make a lot of money. This is too much for me," right? He had Dale Earnhardt. These guys were going around the track and Richard's driving. He said, "I don't know. I can't do that. I understand. That's the way it is." But he became the best at what he did. And some others too that I know that are friends. It's a great, by the way, that's a great sport. That whole thing is great. How you do it is amazing. It's so amazing. We should send you into, I've always said, get some of these guys.
One of y'all, please.
I have a lot of friends in that world.
Dr.
I
Robert
think,
posts an all caps again. Please,
Roger Penske, like a great guy too. He won 20 Indianapolis 500s. This guy wins all the time. I mean, we appreciate talent. They said, let me use these guys to guide our military a little bit. When you can win so many races, that's okay. You know, you guide. Same thing with coaches. You take some of the greatest football coaches, you put them at a table. What do you like, coach? Because in its own way, it's not so much really different.
But it's been sort of amazing. But she looks over left and she sees, and then she looks over right and she sees a lot of the young ladies that she grew up with, girls, and now they're mature women. They want to break this record. They want to qualify.
Yeah,
for the
Arizona.
Olympics. And then right next to her is this giant.
Rambling a little bit. Just a little bit.
He's got the wingspan of Wilt
He
the
do that,
Stilt
though.
Chamberlain.
Yeah, bring it back.
You know,
around.
Wilt the Stilt, 7'2", the longest arms ever recorded. And she looks and she goes, oh, who is this? Oh, he transitioned and he's in the swimming contest. He's in the meet, and this meet is a big deal.
Yeah, we ain't
And
doing
she's
it.
a little nervous, but she's going to break that record. And they say, on your mark, set, go. And she goes and she goes and she goes, but she got, as you know, very badly injured.
18 and
Right? You know
25
what it
year
was?
olds. Those are
Wind burn.
adults.
She got
Exactly.
burned by the wind. He went so fast by her. She suffered massive wind burn. We had to take her out.
Y'all not realizing most states, the age
Massive
of
wind burn.
is 16.
No, it's so crazy. Men playing in women's sports. It's demeaning. Who could want this? Who could want open borders? Who could want high taxes? Who could want high taxes? Who wants this?
You discussed
They have
this
so
plan
many
going
things.
on
You know,
and
we're the
shit.
party of common sense because we're conservative with it, but we're the
You
party
like
of
that.
common sense.
It's not everybody's job to
We
touch
have
you.
to get back to common sense. Lion Kamala supported abolishing ICE.
They don't go over the playbook at a pep
She
rally.
compared ICE agents to members of the KKK.
That part right there.
It's so disrespectful. And these guys, these people are great. I've
I just
seen
made
them.
that up. You like that
and I've
shit.
seen
Boy, I can
tapes of
drop
them, and they
bars
go
on
into
down
a pack of MS-13 killers out on Long Island, and they walk into that pack, and all you see is fists are flying left and right. 2 minutes later, they walk out, and they've got them by the legs, and they throw them into a paddy wagon, and we take them the hell out of our country.
They've been
And she
lying
wants to get rid of them.
about Biden's mental health for 10 years.
Kamala voted in favor
are
of
here
deadly
talking about
sanctuary cities. She supports decriminalizing illegal border crossings, and she supports mass amnesty for all illegals. Think of that. Everybody coming
Yeah,
in right
Nez.
now.
Yeah.
And many of these people are coming
Right.
out of the prisons and the mental institutions. They're going to get amnesty. She wants everybody to have amnesty. Then Joe
Except the
Biden
people that's
made
already
her the
over here.
voter
I can't
czar,
get no
and that's when
amnesty.
it really got bad.
I mean, I
She
don't need
launched a
it.
colossal illegal alien invasion of a country. She said,
Why
"Come
don't
on
y'all
in."
stop
Remember?
lying?
Then
He's
she said-
never
remember
claimed
when- then she
Project
copied him.
2025.
Don't.
That's a
Everyone say,
fucking
"Don't
lie.
what?" Don't. Remember, don't.
I love how
Don't.
y'all hypocrites
Don't.
always want to call him a liar, and then you get right
On my
on
very
here
first
and
day
repeat
back in the
lies.
White House, I will terminate every
Unbelievable.
single open border policy of the Biden-Harris administration.
Okay, my
And we
question
will
is, what's
seal
so
the
wrong with
border, and we will
2025?
stop Kamala Harris invasion without
I
delay.
don't know. I
It'll
don't
happen
even-
immediately.
I know very little about it.
Now, I'm just
This
saying
is
for the
not a
people that keep
thing.
saying that, what's wrong with 2025?
It's just something to attach to him, and you know, to be able to throw some fodder at him.
But what I'm saying is you're throwing it, but what's the
They
problem
don't
with
look
it?
just like
We
MAGA.
will do it immediately.
Make America great. You really
Under
got a
borders are
problem with
Harris,
that?
illegal aliens are pouring in by the
Making America
millions and
great?
millions
That's a
and
problem.
millions. It's going to be 20 million,
They
maybe
just
more than
find
that by
a
the end.
problem because Trump.
You ever hear
They
of
put it to his
gotaways?
name.
They don't include
They have a
gotaways. You
problem.
know what a getaway is? The people that get in, which is probably most of
Actually,
them.
eating Burger King
I think
today.
it's probably
we
already
barely
over
broke.
20 million. You know,
That kind of thing.
we're losing 300,000 people a year to fentanyl that comes through our border. We had it down to the lowest number, and now it's worse than it's ever
I
been.
don't know
We
about
had the
the
best border,
Chinese
the
dropping
most
off the
secure
fentanyl
border
part.
we've
I
ever
don't know if
had.
I believe
And
that
now,
because
in
don't
just
ain't
a
nobody on
short
this
period of
planet know how
time,
to
we
get
have the
gas
worst
like
numbers in
Caucasian
history.
people. I'm sorry.
They're coming not just
Shit, they
from
must
South,
get gas.
but from Africa, from Asia, from the Middle East. They're coming from everywhere. They're coming from all over the world, from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. You know, they go crazy when I say the late, great Hannibal Lecter. Okay, they say, why would he mention Hannibal Lecter? He must be cognitively in trouble. No, these are real stories. Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lamb. He's a lovely man. He wants to have you for dinner. He'd like to have you for dinner.
Oh, let's not do that.
These people are coming into our country.
and terrorists are coming in at the highest levels that we've ever seen. You know, in 2019, Border Patrol put out a chart, and I don't believe this chart, but I like it. I use it all the time. It said during 2019, we had 0 terrorists. It's impossible, I think, but they said it. I'll take it. Where is Brandon? Brandon, is that right? 2019, the great Brandon Judd. 2019 from Border Patrol. 2019, they had 0 terrorists coming in. Now, I think it has to be. I'm sure some got in a little bit, but not very many. But they had it down at 0, so I use that all the time. But now we have hundreds and hundreds and thousands of terrorists coming into our country, coming in from all over the world. Meanwhile, our crime rate is going up, despite the fact that they like to say it's not. Come on.
All right, can we block?
Well, crime statistics all over the world are plunging. And you know why they're plunging? Because other countries are taking their criminal elements and they're bringing them into the United States of America, and they're dumping them in our. We're a dumping ground. We're a stupid country that's run by stupid people, and we're going to make this country so great again, but we have to fix it. In Venezuela, which was ridden with crime, crime is down 72% because they're sending all of their criminals to the United States of America.
Somebody posted the
Now think of it. Next year, what we'll do?
Where?
Oh, if they win, I never want to say. You know, I never say we're going to win. They cheat like hell.
I might be on your check your channel
and all that stuff. But if they ever got in, we will have another meeting. We'll do it in Venezuela because it'll be.
I was just wondering why, you know.
Because by that time we'll have all the criminals from all over the world in our country. Because that's what's happening. You're not going to teach a criminal not to be a criminal.
Oh, so you way back up there. We
Maybe
way
a little bit, but you're not going to have.
Yeah, I'm catching up.
One of the countries, the president of the country, I don't want to really mention the name, but he's a nice guy. I know every one of them. They're very smart people. They're very sharp. They're at the top of their game. Our guy was not at the top, and this one is just, she never could be. By the way, lousy student, failed her law exams. Did you know that she couldn't pass her bar? She couldn't pass her bar exams. Okay, does anyone know that? They're not going to do. They say that on NBC News. Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news. Kamala Harris could not pass her bar exams. But she's going to be a great president, right? No, she couldn't pass the bar exam. She couldn't pass anything. Couldn't pass everything. She couldn't pass anything. But just think of this. These countries, and if I were the head of one of the countries, I would be worse than any of them. I mean, some of them actually have half of their prison population still. I wouldn't have any. Richard wouldn't have any. You and I would, our country would be the safest country. Every criminal would be in the United States of America. I can tell Richard Childress. Every criminal would already be here. Every jail would be empty. Every mental institution, insane asylum would be empty. They'd all be in the United States. And that's what, in a short period of time, that's what's going to happen. We're going to have all of their criminals. The only thing good about them is they make our criminals look like very nice people by comparison. These are serious criminals. These are rough killers. But under Border Czar Harris, can you believe it? Our communities are being ravaged by migrant crime. I call it migrant crime. I used to call it Biden migrant crime, but now I'll probably change it to Harris or Kamala. You know, it took him about 4 years to pronounce her name right, and then she did an overthrow. That was a very undemocratic move, wasn't it? Earlier this year, a 15-year-old girl in Massachusetts was raped by a migrant who Biden and Harris flew into the United States against all orders. In upstate New York 2 months ago, another 15-year-old girl was attacked by an illegal alien that just walked into our country, assaulted with a metal pipe, abducted, driven to an isolated area, raped and killed. And in Texas last month, 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari was tied up, sexually assaulted, and strangled to death by 2 illegal aliens who Biden and Harris released into the United States and refused to get them out. What kind of a vice president or what kind of a border czar allows these monsters to come into our country? And this is just a small portion. These people are here now by the hundreds of thousands. And remember this, it's like anything else. They're just getting comfortable. They've just gotten here a little while ago. So you haven't seen the kind of crime that's going to be inflicted on our country. They're just getting comfortable. They're getting used to being here. They don't know about the words politically correct yet when you catch them and you do nothing, and then you catch them again and do nothing. They don't know. The only time they do something, it happens to be Trump, because he talks about how the rigged election was.
Yeah, Eric, it don't even make sense telling people to research.
He should get the electric chair because he said the election was rigged. But if you rape and kill somebody and strangle them and dump them in a creek, that's okay with these people because they're crazy. And we don't want these people running our country anymore. What kind of person allows innocent American girls to be raped and murdered while keeping our border wide open? Never change it. Never change it. You know, they passed for the election about 2 weeks ago. They passed something that's meaningless. It's absolutely meaningless. But you know that, Brandon. They said they passed some nonsense so that they could have a news. We're having a news conference. It actually made it worse. It actually, look at me saying it did. It made it worse. It's horrible. Kamala's deadly destruction of America's borders is completely and totally disqualifying. She shouldn't even be allowed to run for president, what she's done. She's committing crimes. No person who deliberately lets these kind of savage criminals into America should ever be trusted with power again, should ever be trusted to be the president of our country. If Border Czar Harris stays in charge, every week will bring a never-ending stream of illegal alien rapists, bloodthirsty killers, and child predators to go after our sons and our daughters. That's what's going to happen. Everybody knows that. You're not going to talk these people into being wonderful citizens. If I'm elected, we will immediately deputize local police who are dying to do the job, by the way, but their power has been taken away. And we'll form a massive dragnet to scour the nation for the monsters who are murdering and raping children all over the world. Many of them have come here because they're looking for them in their own countries for rape, for murder, for all sorts of things. And we will ship them back to the country from which they came. We're going to get them out of here. You know, when I first came here, I don't tell this much, but you couldn't get them back. I said, well, we're going to get them out. MS-13 in particular, the most savage, vicious gang. They killed two 16-year-old girls walking to school. They killed them with a knife. They sliced up their body. They didn't want to use a gun because that's too quick. They didn't want to use a gun. They sliced them up. They sliced them up into pieces. They killed them. And Nancy Pelosi said they should stand trial. You know, nice fair trial. No, these are monsters. But when I first came here, I said, we're going to get these people out, MS-13. And the general came up to, sir, President Obama.
I done seen some of y'all misspell her name.
President Obama has been trying for 4 years. President Bush has been trying. They've all been trying. The countries won't accept them. They don't want their MS-13 back. I said, really? You can't get them back? No, sir. What they do is they put major big aircraft, commercial aircraft on their runways so that when we're getting nearby, we can't land, sir. And then they clog up the roads, right, Brandon? They clog up. He knows because he was trying to send them back. They couldn't send them back. Then they clog up the road so the buses and cars, every way, you can't get back into their countries. And they tell the people, we'll give you the death penalty if you come back in. Other than that, they're quite friendly, actually. So I said, really, they won't accept them? Yes, sir, we have to live with them. I said, we're not going to live with them. I asked, how much money do like Honduras and Guatemala, El Salvador, Mexico, how much money do they get from us for economic development and aid? Sure, we pay them $750 million a year. Now, that's peanuts compared to all of it, but still a lot of money. We pay them $750 million a year, sir. I said, tell them that we're not paying any more. They're in default. We're not giving them the money. We're not giving them any more money, Brandon. We're not giving. You were there, right? You were there. So we notified them, you're not getting any more money. The three countries in particular, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, rough countries. And they were sending all of our criminals into our country. They said, we're sending them back.
And you're not going to put any airplanes on the runway.
know some of y'all like
clog
screaming
up
at
the
your
roads. We're
computer
sending them
screen.
back. But I said, how much money? 750. Inform them that they're not getting any more money. There's no more aid. We call it aid because we're stupid. We call it aid. You're not getting any more aid. There will be no more aid to your country. And the next morning, I got a call separately from all three presidents of these countries. They're very streetwise guy. They're very streetwise people. And they called me. And they said, sir, there must be a misunderstanding. I said, what's up? He goes, sir, you have stopped sending our aid to us. I said, that's right, because you're not letting the criminals that you sent in caravans and otherwise you sent into our country, you're not letting them go back to your country because we're sending. Well, sir, I'd like to talk about that. We would be delighted to take MS-13 back into our country. And all three countries the same exact.
Well, Bill,
and
that's
we
what's
sent
actually
them
going to end
back,
up
Tom
happening.
Homan and all our guys,
Just
right?
pay
And
attention to
that
the
guy
family
right
down
there.
Georgia.
We sent them back at record levels like nobody's ever seen. Stand up, Brandon. Brandon Judd. Right, Brandon? We sent them back. Brandon was shocked because he was the head of the Border Patrol. And I'll tell you a little secret. He's not supposed to endorse anybody. He's really not. But he got so fed up with the incompetent people that when I ran, he said, I don't care. I'm endorsing Trump. I said, you're not supposed to do it. I said, I don't. And he never wavered, did he? He never wavered. Him and his whole group of people, they're incredible. These are incredible people. You know, it's much easier for him not to do the job. But they don't want that. They want to straighten out our country. They love the country.
Why we
as much
post the
as
Arabic
anybody in this room. They want to work. It's risky. It's dangerous. They don't want to not do their job. They want to make our borders strong and our country safe. And we're going to be doing that in 6 months. We're going to be doing that. You know, unfortunately, we have to wait till January 20th. But I can tell you that November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country. We're going to take our country back from these lunatics. During her entire time as border czar, Kamala has not had a single conversation with the chief of Border Patrol or the unions or anybody. Did they ever call you? Did they ever call Brandon Judd, please? Get him on the phone. Brandon, how are we doing on the border? Now, I used to call. He goes, horrible. How are we doing on the border, Brandon? We're doing, he just goes, horrible. But I'd call you all the time, right? I'd say, how the hell are we doing, Brandon? And we were doing great. That's why the chart, right? But we were doing great. But they talked to the 4 top people on the border. Have you ever spoken to?
It's Arabic, Amanda.
Biden doesn't know he's alive.
I don't know what it says.
You know, the head of the FBI was, you know that, right? He was in front of Congress today. And one of the great congressmen asked him a question. Have you ever noticed in all your meetings with Biden that he's cognitively a degenerate? And he said, no, I never noticed that. I never noticed that. No, really, there was nothing to talk about. I never noticed that. Now, anybody that says that, you know they're not telling the truth. It's a very serious thing. It's a very serious thing. No, I didn't notice. I didn't notice. No, I didn't notice. I didn't notice he couldn't stand up. I didn't notice he can't walk. And I didn't notice he can't think and he couldn't talk. Other than that, he's doing quite well,
Only in
however.
America.
No, he didn't notice. That's a very bad thing. A very bad thing. A very sick thing. We're pleased to be joined today by former president of the National Border Patrol, and that's the man I've just been talking about. He's been so incredible. The Patrol Council, the head guy and the boss, Brandon Judd. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. And Brandon, can you come up and say a couple of words? We have time. Do we have time? Come on, Brandon Judd. Come on, Brandon.
And I'll bet you he can beat me up those. I'll bet you he can beat me up those stairs. Remember when Biden challenged him to a golf match, and yet Trump was just playing with Bryson DeChambeau? You beat him, didn't you? Look, I lived this. Under 5 presidents, I worked under 5 presidents. Never have we seen a more secure border. You know this. This isn't a secret. The most secure border we've ever had was under Donald Trump. The less we had fewer drug overdoses under Donald Trump. We had fewer criminal aliens under Donald Trump. Like he said in 2019, 0 known terrorists. That number has jumped up more than 100% under Joe Biden. 100%. Yeah, that's what we're seeing right now. This was amazing. It was all about policy. October 7th, 2016, the day of Access Hollywood. Come on, locker talk, seriously? And they thought that that was going to bring him down. We did a press conference with Donald Trump, October 7th, 2016, because it was about policy. That's what it's about. If we have proper policy, we can secure the border and we can keep your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren safe. He can do that. He can do it. They refuse. Kamala Harris knows what she needs to do. I was there. I gave her all of the policies that she needed, all of them, and she refused to implement them. She does not care about you. She does not care about the safety of this country. He does. This is the man for the presidency.
Thank you. Wow. That was great. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you very much. He does some job. He does some job. Now that she's running for president, Kamala is suddenly trying to transform her personality to pretend she is tough on crime. She's so bad on crime. In fact, Kamala Harris was the original Marxist district attorney. She was the first of them. You know, you hear all about them in Philadelphia and Los Angeles. She was the first. She was worse than any of them. She supports ending cash bail nationwide. She wants no bail. If you murder somebody, just go home and relax.
Yeah, you're right, man. Some of these throws off funny.
Which means releasing violent criminals immediately after arrest. She supports stripping police officers of legal protections, ending jail sentences for parole violators. And in 2020, she helped raise $35 million to bail out criminals released from jail after they shot at our police, looted stores, sexually assaulted innocent victims, and committed many other very serious crimes. She was giving them money and bailing them out. One of the dangerous criminals Kamala helped bail out of jail was Sean Michael Tillman. You know that name, a repeat offender who, with Harris's help, was set free. He then went on to murder a man on a train platform in St. Paul, Minnesota, shooting him in cold blood 6 times, lying on the ground. Shot him in the head and in the torso 6 times. Kamala Harris wants to be the president for savage criminals, illegal aliens. I will be the president for law-abiding Americans of every race, religion, color, and creed. And I will stop the Democrats' party war. Remember this, the Democrats, they have a war going with police. They have a war. They don't want to talk about it, but they want it. The Democrat Party has a war on with police. We will stand up to the Marxist district attorneys, defund the police.
Make sure y'all hit that like, subscribe.
They want to defund. She wants to defund the police. Now she's pulled back on it, but that's where she is going. I don't even, does anybody even understand the concept? That's like open borders. That's like men and women's sports.
Go to the other channel.
I think it's maybe even crazier than any of them.
Podcast.
We will give our police back their power, protection, respect that they deserve. We're going to give them back the respect that they deserve today. I am honored to receive the official endorsement of the National Association of Police Organizations, which is the largest in our country. It represents 250,000 police officers nationwide. It's such an honor to get it. To me, that's a great honor. To me, that's something that means the largest anywhere in the United States. It's the greatest people. I'd like to ask their president, Mick McHale, to come up and say a few words, please. Thank you. Thank you, Mick.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am truly honored to stand before you today. And on behalf of the National Association of Police Organizations, I am pleased to formally announce NAPO's endorsement of Donald J. Trump for President of the United States. If I may, as President Trump directed the Attorney General to aggressively prosecute those who attack officers for simply being in a uniform. President Trump, he signed the Law Enforcement Mental Health and Wellness Act. And ladies and gentlemen, that's protecting the protectors. President Trump also signed the ability for surplus military equipment to once again be used to protect you, the citizens, not to take your rights. And one of the most important things that the president did, he recognized that the men and women who provide public safety, who are part of law enforcement, deserve the same constitutional rights as the people we serve. Mr. President, once again, we are proud and pleased to support your campaign, and we are here for anything that you ever may need. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a big one. That's something that means a lot to all of us in this room. It's no wonder the Democrat Party and their thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones who can stop them. We're the only ones. This is it. This is the big election coming up. This is it. This is going to be the biggest of them all. All of their persecution is only happening because I'm running for president and leading big in the polls, every one of them. And we're not just leading against Kamala, we're also leading against everyone, including big leads right here in the great state of North Carolina. We have a big lead. We have a big, beautiful lead. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election in 2024. You, right, Michael? Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it truly a great badge of honor. I never thought I'd be saying that, but I consider it a badge of honor because I'm being indicted for you. And never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never, ever let them take away your freedom. I'll never let it happen. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. I just happen to be standing in their way, and I always will. Thank you. Thank you. We're pleased to be joined tonight by many great North Carolina patriots, including Congressman Richard Hudson. Where is Richard? Richard Hudson, Richard. He's a big, wonderful, wonderful guy, wonderful warrior, Richard. Thank you. A man who I've just been involved in from the day he first went in, I endorsed him. Everyone said, who is he? Turned out to be an incredible congressman, but now he's running for Attorney General, and he's going to be your next Attorney General, Dan Bishop. Where's Dan? Dan. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Get out and vote for him. He's incredible. Great job. And you were a great guy. Richard, we're going to miss him in Congress, but that's okay. Great luck, Dan. Congressional candidates, Addison McDowell. Big victory, Addison. They're way ahead in the polls. Brad Knott. Thank you, Brad. Pat Harrigan. Thank you. Thank you, Pat. Good. Mark Harris. They like you. And the Speaker of the North Carolina House, a man who's done an incredible job. He gets it. He gets it. He really gets it. Tim Moore. Thank you, Tim. And when it came time to pick a chairman of the Republican National Committee and Convention and everything else having to do with national politics, I came to a man named Michael Whatley of North Carolina. And
That's what I'm trying to figure out,
the
Amanda.
reason is because at 10 o'clock in the evening, when we all had those televisions on, and I saw weird things happening, drops at 3:02 in the morning, and all the things that were happening, North Carolina held totally steady. He had 602 lawyers working. He held it steady. And other states, I was leading by a lot, and all of a sudden people went to sleep. They thought that was over, and I said no, because I know how bad these people are. But North Carolina had held steady. He was ahead of your Republicans in North Carolina, did a phenomenal job. So I immediately called him. I said, let's do it. And I got him. Please stand up. Please stand up. You have done a fantastic job. Fantastic. And working with Laura Trump, what a team that is, right? She's doing a good job, right? And I said, don't worry about the votes. Just guard the votes, right? Just guard. We have all the votes you need. Just guard the votes. And he's doing that. And he's doing it at levels that nobody's seen before. And I hope we're going to have a big, beautiful surprise, because we're not going to let them steal this election. And they didn't do it in North Carolina. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Great job. A wonderful gentleman who I met a little while ago, Michael Verardo, and he is a wounded warrior and just a highly respected guy. Michael, wherever you may be. Michael? Hi, Michael. Wow. You look good. I'm not messing with you, Michael. Wow. Good-looking guy. Thanks, Michael. Great patriot, great person. Members of the Charlotte Police Department are here. Please stand up. You are phenomenal.
You mean over that boiling pot of water she threw at them? That's what you talking about,
What a job they do. Thank you. What a job they do. Thank you very much. And Chief of the Catawba Nation, Brian Harris. Brian, where are you, Brian? They've been so supportive. They've been so supportive. Thank you very much. From the moment we take back the White House from Kamala Harris, they switch. It's every day. Next week they'll have somebody else when they find out how bad she is. She's worse than he is. But when we take it back from Kamala and crooked Joe Biden, the most crooked president we've ever had, I believe we are going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We're going to do it. We're going to do it fair. Starting on day 1, we will end inflation and make America affordable again. Inflation is killing our people. They've got inflation. I think real inflation is closer to 50%. They like to say 23, 24%. No, they don't add everything. I think, look at interest rates. They're through the roof. Nobody can buy a house. You can't get the money even if you want it. To bring down the prices of all goods, we will stop the Biden-Harris war on American energy, and we will drill, baby, drill. That includes racing car. You know, that's good. You're going to spend a lot less money for your gasoline. You have that special stuff. I will terminate the Green New scam, and I will end the Biden-Harris electric vehicle mandate on day one. And we already gave you the largest tax cuts in history, but we will pass massive tax cuts for workers, and that includes, remember, no tax on tips. No tax on tips. No tax on tips. To protect North Carolina workers, I will revoke China's most favored nation status. Think of it. They're most favored because they're a developing nation. Well, we're a developing nation too because we've gone to hell and back. We're a developing nation too. They are considered a developing nation, so they get advantages that we don't get. Not going to happen. And I will pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. That means that if China or any other country makes us pay a 100 or 200% tariff or tax, we will make them pay a reciprocal tariff or tax of 100 or 200% immediately, right back. It's basically you hurt us and we hurt you, an eye for an eye. Look at it any way you want. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after we, the people in this room, win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. We're going to get it settled quickly. I'll do it as president-elect. I'll do it. And I will be doing something that nobody else even talks about. We have never been so close. I will prevent World War III. We're heading to World War III. We're heading right into the teeth of it because we have stupid people representing us, and they're being represented against people that are at the top of their game. I will restore peace through strength, which is what we have. And in my next term, we will build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our country, a dome the likes of which nobody has ever seen before, and it will be entirely made in the USA. You know, Ronald Reagan wanted to do that, but honestly, it's a long time ago. We didn't have the technology. Now we have the greatest technology in the world. And in case there's a problem, we're going to be stopping them, but we're going to have the best in the world. It's all going to be made right here. I will not cut one penny from Social Security or Medicare, and I will not raise the retirement age. One day, I won't even raise it by one day. And, you know, they're talking about, she's talking about lifting the retirement age. She's going to have to because they're putting a lot of the illegal aliens that are coming into our country. They're going into Social Security and Medicare. They're going into a hospital. We're not going to raise it one penny or one day. I kept that promise, remember, for 4 years. For 4 years, they said, oh, he's going to raise Social Security. No, for 4 years, I didn't, and I won't do it. I'm the one that won't do it. And remember, I said something else. I'm going to keep you out of wars. I kept you out of wars. We had no wars with Donald Trump as your president. We defeated ISIS. We beat ISIS in 4 weeks as opposed to 5 years, which was supposed to take. Remember this, our military is great. They're not woke. The guys on top, the political guys are woke, but they can't convince them. I saw ISIS dissolve before us once I put the military on it, once they had the commander-in-chief behind them. We have great generals, and there's not woke. They're not woke. They won't be woke. They can't be talked into being woke. They'd leave before that happens. But we have people on the top that are woke, and they're all gone. We're going to get rid of them so fast. We're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope, safety, and beauty better than they've ever been before. We'll have to work with Democrat governors and mayors in many cases, but we're going to rebuild our cities. They're crime-ridden, horribly run places right now. We're going to clean them up, and we're going to do something that's really good, and we're going to take our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. We're going to clean it up, renovate it. We're going to rebuild our capital city so that it is no longer a nightmare of murder and crime, but rather it will become the most beautiful capital anywhere in the world. We're going to take over the management, the leadership of it, Right now, you go from North Carolina, let's go and see the Washington Monument on the assumption that they don't change the name, which they want to. They want to change the Jefferson Memorial. Not going to happen. Remember when we were having a problem in Washington where they were trying to knock down some of our monuments? And I passed a bill. And the bill said, if you touch a monument, if we catch you even in the act, you go to jail for 10 years. And there's no 10 years equal 1 year. It's 10 years.
It's 10 whole
You
years.
served 10 years. And it was amazing. I looked outside the beautiful White House windows. I looked outside and people were just leaving town. It was an incredible thing. I took old legislation that frankly you could never pass, very old, 1926. And I restored it. And I said, 10 years, if you take down that, and they were all getting ready. They had ropes around the necks of these gorgeous pieces of art. I said, you do that, you go into jail for 10 years. And they left those ropes hanging. They couldn't get out of town fast enough. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the shoulders of our children. And I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And I will keep men out of women's sports, and I will fully uphold our great Second Amendment. We will protect innocent life, and we will restore very quickly free speech, and I will secure our elections. Finally, we're going to get them secured. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and voter ID. But until then, Republicans must win. We want a landslide that's just, and it is really an expression that's used. It's very tough for them. Too big to rig. We're way ahead. We're way ahead by more than even the polls say. We have to make it so big, Richard, that they can't do it. There's not a thing they're going to be able to do about it. So too big to, you have to get out there and vote. Get everybody. Get everybody. Get them all. Remember this, it's a strange thing. Evangelicals, Christians, they don't vote very much. We got to vote. They got to vote. They're great. They're such great people. Gun owners, the NRA, you know, gave us their total endorsement. But gun owners don't vote. They tend not to vote. We have to get them to vote. If we could get the evangelicals, Christians, if we can get gun owners to vote, it's not even an election. But they got to get out. So get your people at church to vote, okay? If you want to save America, get your friends, get your family, get everyone you know and vote. Vote early, vote absentee, vote election day. I don't care how you vote. You got to get out. You got to vote. And make sure your vote counts. Follow your vote. Check your vote. Check it. You can do it. Check your vote that they don't rob you of your vote. Such an important thing. And if you want to help ensure election integrity, sign up at protectthevote.com. Protectthevote.com and watch those people. Make sure they don't cheat. And Michael's doing a great job, and you just watch him, Michael. From Asheville to Raleigh, and this is, I have to tell you, an incredible group of people. The spirit, the incredible spirit. We have so much to say, but in conclusion, from Asheville to Raleigh, from Greensboro to Greenville, from Wilmington to right here in Charlotte. This state was forged by some of the toughest men and some of the strongest women ever to walk the face of the earth. Our American ancestors were backcountry farmers and frontier settlers, woodsmen, craftsmen, workers and warriors who poured their love into this land, and they loved their families, and they wanted to take care of their families at all costs. They climbed the mountains, fought the battles, conquered the dangers, tamed the unknown wilderness, built the factories, and gave everything they had to make America into the greatest nation in the history of the world. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a nation in decline. Can you believe it? We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, lost its willpower, and lost its strength. We are a nation that has quite simply lost its way. but we are not going to allow this horror to continue. Less than 4 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. We'll be a great nation again. With our leadership, every disaster Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have created can be fixed and can be fixed very quickly. Every problem can be solved and every wrong can be rectified. By this time next year, America's borders will be strong, sealed, and secure. Inflation will be in full retreat. Our economy will be roaring back. Optimism will be surging. The American dream will be thriving again for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. Law and justice will reign all throughout our land. Freedom will be restored. The flame of liberty will be burning bright. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the worst administration in the history of our country, will be a fading memory of the past. And our great silent majority, including the once forgotten men and women of our country, will be the ones shaping America's magnificent future when I am the 47th President of the United States. Because we are all Americans, and together we will show November 5th to be the most important day in the history of our country. There will never have been a more important day, because if we don't do the right thing, and if it doesn't work out, it's got to work out. If it doesn't work out, we won't have a country. We're going to have a great country again. We're going to have a great country again. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. We will make America free again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless you all.
Oh, there you have it. What an incredible moment. We talked
All right, y'all. We
President
get ready
Donald J.
to
Trump.
go
And
ahead
this
and
is
end this
you.
stream, and
He
we're gonna
walked
be
in
right
the
back
loud
with
and
President
proud and
Biden's
strength. He
remarks
did
on
he did
why
one of
he
those,
decided
and
to
he
drop
gave us
out of the presidential
that
race. Again, I
feeling
do want
of
to thank
wow, we are in
everybody
really good
for
hands.
coming
Hopefully
through.
sooner than later.
One of the more, I think,
Commenting in the chat,
magnificent,
subscribing to the
highly
channel,
energetic,
all of
and you
that.
hear that noise,
I think
especially
you
in
guys get
Inside
about 10
Stadium.
minutes, so
I
definitely
thought
make
there
sure you
was
come back.
a
And
lot of
again,
mix of
thank you for
comedy
all
in
of
there
your
too.
support.
Really enjoyed when he does that motion when he's talking about transgenders in sports and about making the joke about lifting. He mentioned that Melania had said our great former person.